Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 68 of the Talking with a Dad podcast. This evening, got a few good topics that I'm excited about, topics that I think Steve is very excited about. So it's gonna be a good. It's gonna be a good night. It's gonna be a good night.
A good evening. A good evening.
Good evening.
You know what? We just don't find enough opportunity to work in catchphrases from movies. But I figure if you and I go out one day, right when the world returns back to normal, we think of our top 100 obscure movies with lines that we like from it, and we only converse with people from those lines in the movie. So you can't go outside of the 100 terms you've picked, and you have to use them.
I only get 100 terms?
I only get 100 terms.
Okay. Can 55 of them be Super Troopers lines? Yes.
I was hoping that 85 would be.
Okay, all right. Okay. All right. What's going on right meow?
Meow. You know what? One of the last times I had smoked the marijuana was during that first time I seen that movie, and that scene alone right there was
amazing. It's so good. It's good
because I was in that weird trippy place where I didn't know if they what I was like, wait, did they just say meow? So I'm stuck in the stick as the stick is happening. I'm like, anyone else knows say meow? Everyone's laughing. I should laugh too. What's going on with you, Zach? Are you pumped? How's your week been, man? What'd you do? Who'd you see? Who'd you do it with?
I don't like any of those questions. They're very leading questions, potential Your Honor questions at some point or another. No, I mean, week's been good, right? Week's been very good. We're doing two of these live shows a week now, so I like that. If you guys don't know, live viewers, we have those now. 9:45 Mondays and Fridays. We do the show live, and then the show goes up 11 on Saturdays and Tuesdays. So I had to figure out what day tomorrow was. So
it's all a blur, really.
You should tune in for that. Mondays are our deep dive episodes. I like those a lot, where we talk specifically on one topic and start being very passionate, and then I have to break out Photoshop afterwards and break down why maps are shitty and why maps aren't.
That was intense, dude. Like, because the crazy thing was, like, any person that busts out a presentation, you weren't gonna let me like daydream on that. You're like, no, I don't think you're really paying attention, Steve. Here, let me start over. I'll erase everything I've drawn. I'm like, no, dude, please don't erase.
I didn't do that. No. I did one shot. Through about as best as I could. All right.
Shout out to the audio listeners, man. We didn't even get a chance to do a countdown to the march to 400 because you guys got us to 400 views.
Are we over 400?
Yeah, we're over 400, brother. Shout out to the audio listeners. You guys are consuming content, and I just want to give you an official Talking with a Dad. We appreciate you. Yeah, right?
Absolutely. You guys are consuming content on a level unknown to most men.
Yeah. Shout out to the live stream people jumping in here with us every day, and shout out to our regular YouTube viewers consuming the content. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate all you folks. It's been over a year. Zach and I have been doing this, and Manscaped, Red Lobster, all those places that we reached out to for sponsorship have not gotten back to us. But when those buildings mysteriously burn down to the ground,
Red Lobster's going out of business anyway. Let's be fair.
Oh man, I love Red Lobster. I love Red Lobster the way I love McDonald's 99-cent menu. Right?
It doesn't exist anymore.
What, the 99-cent menu? It does. It's just not up officially. If you go into any Mickey D's and you start rattling off stuff that should be on the 99-cent menu, they're like, yeah, fine, I'll go get you.
They're like, just give them the paper menu. Has everything on it. Like the McRib is there all year round.
Like, just get him his goddamn McDouble. I'm like, I'm sorry, did you say McDouble? Because I ordered a double cheeseburger. Yeah, it's called a fucking McDouble.
Like, I want it on the sesame bun. They're like, you know what? Just get the gun. Get the gun. Shoot the ice cream machine first, because we know it doesn't work anyway.
Oh, dude, you know what I wanted to talk to you about? I was going to send you the clip, but I figured you were having a good day, so I didn't want to send you the clip. So I've been watching a lot of Brilliant Idiots. That's Andrew Schultz and Charlemagne the God. And something amazing happened on there, right? Okay. So they were talking about the 50 Cent. I don't know if you're aware of this. 50 Cent recently endorsed President Trump.
Yeah.
And so they came to 50's defense and they were explaining why a man with that much money would defend Donald Trump. He's like, I'm not paying 61% of anything. But the interesting thing about it was they both turned on their engineer at one point during the conversation. The 50 Cent thing is secondary. I can't even say what she said that made them turn on her. Basically, she equated men to a female body part, but she was the one that said it. So she thought she was going to do that thing where, like, I said it, so it's okay. I said it because I'm a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire room turned on her. It was hilarious, dude.
Okay,
In that moment, I could not have felt more awkward for this poor woman because she's doing that thing where you have to backpedal. She's like, no, I didn't mean it like that. I'm just saying that
only weak people do that.
Yeah.
You got to double down, right, and stand your ground. Stand your ground on your point. That's what you got to do.
Dude, you got to slam your hands down on the table and say, listen, Grandma, I don't give a shit how you feel about the topic. And you just keep landing.
Exactly.
Even if it's not your grandma and you woke up in those people's house on Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah. I don't know what that strange family was doing in my new house, but
dude, Thanksgiving's right around the corner, man.
I know, dude. I know. It's so crazy. And Thanksgiving being around the corner means Christmas is right around the corner.
I know. And then Christmas being right around the corner means that
New Year.
That's basically it.
New Year.
I haven't celebrated New Year's in quite some time.
I don't fucking care. I purposely go to bed before midnight on New Year's just to spite everyone else.
It's been working. I've been wondering why I was so depressed every New Year. I'm like, man, it's as if someone's going to sleep early. Feel bad.
Wait, is someone trying to spite me?
Is someone coming after me? Dude, what do you guys got anything jumping off in with the clan? Not the clan, but the family clan for Thanksgiving, or is it canceled?
I have no idea. We haven't even fucking talked about it. I don't care. I'll just show up either here or I'll stay here or go to my dad's house and figure it out, I guess. I have no idea.
Oh man, Thanksgiving. I seen some turkeys walking through my property the other day and I was like, is it too early to get it cracking out here? Like, there's got to be some type of restriction, right? I can't just go out there and bash those things over the head with a rock.
I mean, there is a turkey season, right?
Right? What communist came up with turkey season? According to God, every day is turkey season.
I mean, I guess I'm not going there. I'm not going to get into a theological debate with you. But the state of New York deems turkey season I don't know. The fall season is divided into 6 seasons. This is how it's described. New York State has both spring and fall turkey hunting seasons and a youth turkey hunt for junior hunters. During the spring, the season is open in all of upstate New York, north of the Bronx, and hunting hours are 1 or half hour before sunrise to noon. The fall season is divided into 6 season zones, and fall hunting hours are sunrise to sunset. So
I love that they had to say north of the Bronx, as if there's someone south of the Bronx hunting turkeys, running around Riverside Drive.
I was thinking they're probably going to be out in like fucking Nassau County shooting turkeys and shit.
Oh, could you imagine?
There is no turkeys on the island, dude. There's no turkeys on the island. There can't be.
I don't even know how raccoons made it to the island. They weren't there when I was growing up, and then one day they just showed up. Conspiracy. You know, we need another conspiracy episode. I was just delving deep into the dark interwebs, on top of there being raccoons in Central Park, and I've come across some stuff that I feel like we should talk about on the show. But I only can do it this time if we have real aluminum foil on our heads.
The last time I asked to do that, you said aluminum foil was expensive, and I'm not wasting that shit.
Yeah, I stole some from the shop, right? So it's cool.
Oh, okay.
Just walked right out of there. They're not really good at their jobs over there.
No, because they hired children, and that's about it.
Children and elderly people. Actually, I'm actually going to have to get my flu shot at Sam's Club. It's
why?
Probably
go to a pharmacy.
Huh?
You do know all pharmacies do it.
Yeah, but the appointment slots are pretty much filled up. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for some places to drop out. I might go to CVS, but I also want to gamble with my life a little bit. Like I was walking through.
That's a good point. I support this fully.
I'm like, I want to see how well the guy at Sam's Club does this. Right? Like, is he the guy that was just packing the meat and he's gonna come out? Just give me 1 second. He puts the jacket on.
Yeah, like cleans his hands, but not well. Just like does this. And then like puts gloves on. And he's like, "Oh man, these gloves are you fuck the gloves actually." Why'd you do it?
So what else is going on with you, Zach? Man, what
Nothing, man. Nothing's going on, really. No, seriously.
Nothing at all.
I got nothing going on. It's kind of nice, actually.
That sounds amazing. Have you left the house today?
Yes.
Have you gone out and smelled the fresh air, the world?
Yeah, I was out early at noon.
What were you doing?
I want to go to the grocery store. What the fuck? What do you know everything I got to do?
I just wanted to know what the world was like as you walked out as a man. I assume you didn't watch the debates last night, correct?
No, I forgot that they were on, honestly.
Oh, man, it was amazing. I sat through about 5 to 10 minutes of it, and I was like, Yahtzee, turned it off. It was right around when they got to the China trade deal, and it just hit me that I was like, I have better things to do with my time.
Literally.
I'm gonna go see how people are reacting to the debates, which is always way more entertaining than watching the actual debates.
But it's like no. The way that people react to debates is this, right? You either had a right bias going in or a left bias going in, and that's what side you think won. Right. You know, there is never a debate where it's like, holy shit. If you're a Trump fan, you're never like, you know what? That Biden guy made some good points in this debate. No, you are never going to say that because you're so blinded by whatever it is. And it goes both ways, right? If you're a Biden supporter, you're never going to be like, you know what? Fuck, man. Trump made a really good point there. You know, it will never happen. So it doesn't make sense.
Actually, you know what's crazy? I did have someone that's a Trump supporter reach out, and they were like, man, I was surprised by how well Biden did. And I didn't respond to the text because I was too busy dealing with the internet trolls. But man, there were some great moments. There was some great moments in Twitter last night. I found a few tweets that I didn't screenshot because they're actually people I know. And if I said them out loud right now, they'd figure it out fairly quickly. But it was amazing to watch people. One person made a huge proclamation that the world was coming to an end today. So I went outside and waited in my front lawn, waited for the meteor or whatever catastrophe was going to happen to hit me square.
You're just standing out there in the middle of the good old front yard there. Marvel's on her little runner, and you're like, "All right, boys, it's the time." I saw this in my dream last night.
So which one you want to kick it off with here, sir? I'll let you lead the dance because you are the dance leader.
All right. So we're gonna start with some fun stuff before we get into the not so fun stuff here. I have finally convinced Steve to play a little bit of World of Warcraft, just a smidge. We played for what, an hour and a half?
Yeah,
just a small smidge. What'd you think? How'd you feel?
Dude, you know what? So watching the entire beginning cutscene, that was really cool. I don't know anything about the lore of World of Warcraft other than what I saw in the movie, and I've completely forgot that stuff.
Yeah, same.
So that was cool. We did mostly tutorials, and at first I was like, this game sucks. And then as we played more, I was like, oh, this is fun. I can see why people spend countless hours. And then when we started doing the dungeon, I was like, oh, this is really fun. I had a good time.
Okay.
But that can only mean one thing, Zach.
You can't play it ever again.
Yes. I can't allow myself to feel. Actually, no, I do want to play it again. This is one thing I'm going to have to push through. And I know it's me. I know this is a bias and I have to work through it, man. It's something about graphics where I want to be like completely immersed in the game. And I think that's the part I was struggling with. Like, I want to be so pulled in. How do you get there in that game? How do you get so pulled in?
How? You fucking... I don't care about graphics. I never have, right? Obviously, the game can't look like Doom from, like, 94 or whatever, right? But, like, WoW graphics are fine. If you put the graphics on Ultra, they're more than fine. They're very acceptable in today's society as far as, like, a modern AAA title, right? And especially as massive of an MMO as what WoW is. What gets me going is like, leveling a character... getting the new gear, growing up essentially in the game, right? And that's super exciting. Recently I've been collecting mounts. You don't even know what a mount is yet, right?
No.
Like, I've been collecting mounts recently, going around just doing like random like challenges and shit to get new things to ride. Collecting titles. I've just been collecting stuff, waiting for Shadowlands to come out. I think I have 5 or 6 max level characters now, with like 3 more right around the corner essentially, and I pretty much have my stable of what I want to do going into Shadowlands like already set up. So I'm excited.
No, it was fun because it was like, as you know, you figure out the mechanics. Mechanics are fairly simple. It's always fun playing a game with you. You're like, Steve, please just go ahead and click the right click there and auto run so I can stop turning around so slowly.
Yeah.
But there was one point when we were running through the dungeon,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I started having a lot of fun because it's like, we're being attacked by everything that's in the dungeon. I was like, all right, I get it. I can see why leveling up the character, why going through the quests, why it's so much more fun. It was hilarious that as soon as we finish that dungeon and we ride off to wherever that next part is, that big screen came up, like your trial experience is over.
So I think you still get to level 20. So I think you essentially still get 10 more levels. Then what we're gonna do next, right? So I'll give you a little bit of a heads up. You get to the Horde capital of Orgrimmar. You go through it. It teaches you a little bit about the city. Like, hey, this is where the riding trainer is, and that's where the stable master is. Like all the random stuff. You get a mount essentially at the end of it, so you could like ride around and be a little bit faster. And then from there, there's a lot of different things to do because Shadowlands changed a lot. Usually you would level because they squished the level back down to 60, right? So we're already a sixth of the way through. Before it was up to 120. So you would level from 1 to 60 in classic World of Warcraft, right? And then after that you choose one of 2 expansions, and then you do that till 80. And then you choose one of 2 expansions and you do that until 100. And then you play, I think, Legion until 110. And then you do the Battle for Azeroth, like the current expansion, until you hit max level. But now you just, because you can only level 1 to 50 right now, because the last 10 levels are locked until Shadowlands comes out. You choose one of the old expansions, and you could level through that old expansion, and it's actually fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it, man. Like for a long time, I didn't get it, and that was mostly just my living biased, right? I was like, this is the way video games are supposed to be. They're not supposed to be this way. And those people that do video games that way are obviously shut-ins who need to be heavily medicated and kept from polite society. But now that I'm one of those people, I realize that the game is like, it's great. I got to be honest with you. You're right. It is a game that's completely up my alley with the lore of the universe.
Yeah.
You pegged that. You pegged that correct. Like as I was watching that opening cutscene, I was just like, man, it makes me want to go back. If there are books to read, I want to read the books. If there's anything I need to know about who this guy is, the dead king, and who this woman is that just showed up and sunned him,
Sylvanas.
I want to know all that stuff. I want to know all that stuff. It's crazy because. All right. Just give me a second, right? Because there was I dealt with another thing when I was playing the game. I came back to Avengers and your Avengers pitch, right? And I was as I'm playing World of Warcraft, I was understanding your pitch more. Not that you weren't articulate and pertinent with the entire pitch before, but I was like, now I really get it, right? I really get how this could have been something different if they had just taken the time to get people who knew what they were doing to do it.
Sure.
And I'm looking forward to playing WoW again. I'll probably be back on there. We got big fights coming up tomorrow. Sunday, his family.
It's 2 p.m. tomorrow. 2 p.m.
No, oh yeah. I didn't tell you my plan, did I, brother? All right. So I know I don't have to explain myself to you, but I will officially be signing off of every social media platform that I'm on tomorrow. As soon as I get to the school, as soon as I punch in, and as soon as I get that first alert that the first prelim is kicking off, whenever that is, even if I'm before I get to the school, everything turns off. I don't want anyone texting me, asking me if they what my thoughts on the fight.
It's gonna be so annoying. Half of my experience of watching the fights is like our little side conversation. Yes, what the fuck is going on? It's actually literally gonna be frustrating.
And I don't get out to 6. So that means I still got to go get groceries.
Are you gonna watch the whole thing? Are you gonna watch like prelims and stuff too, or are you just gonna watch the main card?
I'm just gonna watch the main card when I get home, man, and then I'll have everything ready that I want to talk about, like with you on Monday. Also, another thing, and like I know we're talking about WoW, but just allow me to go on a tangent here. Watching boxing again, it ruined me, man.
I love boxing.
I'm back in it. Like I was clean. My life had changed.
Like everything told me about this. Actually, you literally told me that this was gonna happen,
dude. And like, if you look at my YouTube history right now, man, it went from Atlas, the boxing, not a boxing commentator, but he's a trainer.
Atlas.
Yeah, Teddy Atlas, and he's a trainer, famous, right?
Yeah.
So I watched 80 videos of his. Boom, knock those out, right? Then I started going down the rabbit hole of like, well, let me watch my classic fights. Watched like 100 of those. Boom, knocked all those out. And I was like, well, let me see who the up and comers are. Boom. I'm deep into it. I was like, well, let's see what the betting lines are. So now I'm Googling it. I installed a few apps on my phone.
And here we are. He's pulling out like a giant stogie. Like I happen to get into these really expensive giant cigars.
Stole them directly from Cuba. And how does that relate to World of Warcraft? Because I need something like that to calm me down. That's actually what Shadow of War was for me. Like, that game is just solely after a while, it's just about leveling your character up. But I'm gonna enjoy it. I don't know if I can afford World of Warcraft in my life though, man.
There is like a way, if you're good at farming gold, right? There's gonna be a very I think it's 100,000 gold or something. You could do that fairly easily within a month, and you could pay your way to a subscription with in-game currency. Now,
that's amazing.
It takes a lot of time and a lot of practice of doing it, but you can essentially do it that way. But yeah, no, it's I don't even know how, $15 a month. I have no idea.
Dude, it's crazy, man, because it's like, all right, so you pay for the game.
Yeah, $15 a month.
Well, no, actually, it's not crazy, right? You know, if you come from a Sony PlayStation or Xbox, this should be easy money for you. Yeah, very similar. Yeah, you're just playing. You're paying for the actual gameplay service. I had a good time, man. You know what was funny about it too? As we were running around the island and we're doing all the little missions with the horde for the orcs and stuff like that, I kept finding it interesting the accents they were using while we were playing the game. Like, so the main
there's a lot, dude. There's a lot. You gotta remember, like, each new expansion, there has to be 1,000 more NPCs or something, right? Yeah. So there's accents and fucking character development behind those NPCs. Dude, it's so crazy. So what we're gonna do when you get back on, we're gonna make sure you get level 10, and then we're gonna choose an expansion. And then we're going to do actual dungeons. And by choosing expansion, we're going to start off with classic dungeons first, right? Because there is a clear progression in how hard the dungeons get over the time of when World of Warcraft is out, right? So like classic, when it was out originally 15, 16 years ago, whatever it was, right? Very easy dungeons. There's essentially no mechanics to the boss fights, right? Bosses are just more tanky. They might have one or two mechanics that are difficult or are going to be hard to do. And then like Burning Crusade comes out, right? And again, still fairly easy, tanky, and they're a little bit harder, right? Some have some mechanics, some have nothing, right? And then you get to Wrath, and it's like, okay, well, you start paying a little bit of attention to the way that the bosses work. And then you get to Cataclysm, and you're like, okay, these bosses now in just regular dungeons have like legit mechanics that you have to pay attention to, right? And then you get into Warlords of Draenor. I've done maybe 7 Warlords of Draenor dungeons. Like I don't remember them. And then you get into Mist of Pandaria, and then they have like, again, like legit dungeons that the bosses have mechanics and you have to pay attention to. And then it really ramps up when you get to Legion. When you get to Legion, it's like, holy shit, like I need to be decent at this game to be able to complete a regular Legion dungeon because there's so many things going on. And then Battle for Azeroth is harder, and then I'm assuming Shadowlands is going to be even harder than that.
Yeah, I was watching Desi play last night for a bit, just as doing my research and stuff. And dude, one of her characters got one hit by something in a dungeon, and then someone came along and helped her, and I was like, man, it
happens.
I'm like, this is intense. Like, I thought this was just like a Final Fantasy point and click, and we kill it after a while.
No. So classic is like that, right? So the classic dungeons are like that. You go to Shadowfang Keep, and there is no mechanic there other than the first boss. Every 3 times during the fight will pick you up and make you hover in air and almost kill you, right? But if your healer has any sort of brain whatsoever, it's the easiest fight in the world, right? And then like you go to Legion, and there's you have to legit pay attention almost to raid level, right? You gotta remember, they're like on top of dungeons, beyond dungeons is raids, and raids are actually mechanic. Like there's something is gonna happen at this moment during this dungeon that's gonna cause this thing to happen, so you need to know ahead of time, right? And then there becomes planning and it's I like that because the difficulty ramps up. I like it.
It's crazy now that I think about it, man. all right, I'm not going to have the correct words for this, right? But I feel as if though the people, the developers of WoW, could have sat down with people who've made games that I've really enjoyed, and I would have liked to see what impact they could have had on a game. Let's say, for instance, like the Lord of the Rings game. Don't you think that someone who heads up the WoW department should have like been appointed to the Lord of the Rings section? Like, hey, this is something we're heavily influenced by.
Different developers.
No, 100%. But I'm just saying, you, Zach, if you were the person throwing your money around and someone pitches a Lord of the Ring game to you, you're like, no, bring me the people from WoW.
Right. Bring me Blizzard. Bring me Blizzard. See, here's the issue with that, right? If you look and at what the subscriptions were, right? Classic had a bunch, right? And Classic was loved, widely, like really, really loved. That's why WoW Classic is a separate game now, right? Because people loved it so much. And then it goes to BC, and then it goes to Wrath. And like these are the same developers this entire time, right? And that's like the peak WoW experience is the first 3 expansions. And it peaked in Wrath, and at the end of Wrath, it peaked at like 15 or 20 million concurrent subscribers, right? Think about how crazy that number is at $15 a month, at 15 million. And then it just drops. And then it's been at like a steady 7 million since. Like still a crazy amount of things, right? But after Wrath, like something happened, right? That's when Activision came in and made the game more catered towards like new players, right? This is the demise of every single game I've ever played, is instead of just being the game and playing to the division that you had within that game, it's, hey, we got to cater to casuals. Hey, we got to cater to casuals. Hey, we got to cater to new players, right? That's right. Exile's Reach is what we went through, right? That is the catering to new players because it's a brand new starting zone that teaches you how to play the game, right? You eventually would have made your way through. Once you figured out that, hey, okay, exclamation point, I got to grab that, question mark, I got to hand that in, right? Once you figure that out, like I'm not saying just directly, Steve, I'm saying anybody, right? Once you figure that portion out, you know how to do that starting zone because everything else, it teaches you how to do it, right? It teaches you how to play your class. It teaches you how to essentially do the beginning of it, and then you can do more research there on out. But yeah, it's weird because they revamped that entire thing. I actually like the leveling experience now. It's very quick. I think it took me 20 hours to go from 1 to 50, which seems like a lot, right? But Classic, it was 120 hours to go from 1 to 50. So they've cut out the huge, like, I heard someone say that they cut out the barrier to entry for World of Warcraft because it was so long to get into the game and learn how to play it before, and now it's much quicker and you get on to the better stuff, the dungeons and the raids and like PvP if you wanted to do it, and like the end game stuff. And it's really, really interesting of how they're revamping the game.
It's funny as you're like talking, man. See, these are my favorite type of conversations to have with you. So the original premise for the show, Gaming with a Dad, was you coaching me on how to play shooters and stuff like that. And as you're talking about them, you know, the demise of most video games being them catering to new players, or AKA casuals making their way into the game. I think if more people had someone to walk them through and say, hey, this isn't as daunting as you think it is. It really is. You just got to be willing to put in the time to learn how to enjoy the game.
That's all it is.
More people would spend time doing it. And that's really my biggest barrier with games I don't play. It's like, hey, I don't have the time to invest to get to where I need to know where I can really actually enjoy the game. Unless it's Ghost Recon Breaking Point, the greatest AAA title to ever be made on the planet Earth. That's not even subjective.
You got me there.
It's not even subjective. It's just a fact. I get how that can be frustrating, them starting to cater to casuals. And there's a better way. I think there's a better way for companies to do that, man. I think there's an absolute better way to do it. I don't have the solution on it. I can't figure it out. But
I don't mind it, right? I don't mind it. Because there's a lot of creature comfort things. The mini map, right? So you know how we were explaining to you the mini map, like when there's a quest, it shows you the area in which it has to be done, and it tells you where you have to go, right? That wasn't there in Classic. So it was like, hey, go kill 7 of these things. Good luck. And that's it, right? Like it wasn't there. You had to figure out like where these things were to go kill. And you know, there's add-ons, right? I use a bunch of add-ons for my World of Warcraft. It would look significantly different to you than what yours looks like. So I use add-ons, but like, so you could do add-ons in Classic to do Questy, which tells you where the quests are, but still it's like, okay, well, that creature comfort, that's good. People were upset when they added the clock to the game. They have a clock on the mini map, and people were like, well, I don't fucking want that. It's strange. So people were upset with that. The big thing that people don't like is the dungeon finder, right? So like, I can click a button and then just put myself into a dungeon, essentially, right? Or join a queue, and then my role will get into a dungeon. People don't like that because it took away the social aspect of the game, right? Prior to that, you had to like type in chat, hey, I'm a level 41 hunter as a DPS looking for this dungeon, right? Razorfen Crawl, right? Or Razorfen Downs. And then it's like, okay, we got to wait for someone to either pick up your group, or then you got to wait for someone to be like, hey, you know what, me too, let's make a group and try to find other players. And you have to do that social aspect of communicating with everyone else. Now I don't have to do that. I could just click and then find a dungeon and then go in and never have to say a word to these people. So a lot of people don't like that.
I can see why people don't like that, but I get it. I can see your side of it, but also it does kind of kill the social aspect of it.
It does. No, for sure it does. And then they added looking for raid, right? So raids at one point, Classic, BC, Wrath, were these exclusive things that the top 1% of the players got to do, right? Because that means you went through and did all of your dungeons, you got the best in slot gear, your max level, right? And you're a good player. Now you're in a guild, and this guild is like, all right, Tuesday night, 8 p.m., we're doing raids. Like, okay, cool, right? So you go off to Molten Core and do your raid, and you know, it takes you 6 weeks to learn how to do the fights, and you get through it eventually, and then you do it. You do it again every week because raids reset weekly. So you do them again every week, and then you're like, okay, cool. Now I have the raid gear. Now I could go do the other raids, the harder raids, right? Now there's a thing called looking for raid. Now it's a slightly dumbed down version of the raid, right? Because people still go and do that, what I just described. But now there's a looking for raid aspect now too. So now you don't have to be in a guild. You don't have to do anything to experience the end game content.
I don't know if I like that. I don't know.
I actually did. I was doing looking for raids today, actually. I did a few portions of some raids today, just because I was bored and hadn't done it in a while. Right, my mage is like max level with very good item level. Like I had a lot of the end game stuff, at least from looking for raid and some mythic stuff. Before Shadowlands pre-patch came out, so. I had that, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go in and do it and see what happens and just have some fun. And yeah, it's nice to do, but like when Shadowlands comes out, I want to be in a guild that goes on Tuesday nights or whatever night it is, right? And goes, okay, 8 o'clock, you're a raider, be here. We're gonna go and we're gonna attempt this raid, right? And I want to do that because that seems fun. So
no, that sounds amazing. Actually, it reminds me of the Division 2 when what was it? What's the name for the? I'm drawing a complete blank. But when I started playing with you guys already had a group of people. It was not a Discord, not a continuum. What is the name they used to describe?
Oh, a clan. It was in Discord or in Division, right? Yeah, so guilds, clans, they're all the same thing, essentially, right? Clans are usually more catered towards shooters, right? You get clan on clan. And guilds is like MMOs. So that's kind of the difference there. But I do want to be in a guild. I'm in one on a few characters, and we're going to try to do some raids depending on how many people we can get in the guild. So we're going to start that from the ground up. So that's really exciting, actually. I really want to raid. I've never done it, right? I didn't play WoW when it was in vanilla. I didn't play really until last year is when I really started playing it.
Backtrack. When you say in vanilla, what does that mean?
Vanilla is classic.
Okay.
Vanilla is the original World of Warcraft, right? It was called called Vanilla after Burning Crusade came out, was the first expansion. Now it's called Classic. But Classic, I'll call it. Sorry. So I never got to experience that. Now I want to. So I think I should be able to do that this year, or at least this expansion. So it'll be fun.
The only way you guys got to LARP, though, you know that, right? You got to dress up in your character's outfit, go full cosplay. Yes, do it.
No,
man.
No,
come on, man! Just do it for America, dude. Just imagine like streaming, dressed up like an orc. No, I mean, I already know if I keep playing, I'm going to continue to have fun. So I'm actually going to make a commitment here. I'm going to say yes to fun for once in my life in a very long time. I'm going to sit down. I'm just gonna play video games with no objective with my friends, no clear plan or criteria.
Cool. So then we're gonna have to not make monks. We're gonna make something else. I've never played a monk. I mean, you know what? I'll play a monk with you until max level.
No.
I will then
I'm
delete
done with the
that.
panda.
Wait, you're done with the panda already?
I'm done with the panda.
You know, we have to go through that. We have to go read through that entire starting zone again. I hope you know that.
That's fine.
Okay.
But if I'm gonna take the game seriously, I gotta pick I gotta put more thought into my character other than like, oh, that's that cute thing from the commercial I saw a decade ago. Like it's
literally. So so then you do some research on what class you want to play, and then the race doesn't matter, right? The race really essentially doesn't matter. It's Horde specifically. Even though I do have just as many alliance characters at this point. But Horde, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna do some real dungeons. We're gonna get you to be a good player. My favorite class so far that I've played is Mage. That's what my main is. But Hunter is incredibly fun. I like Hunter a lot. Hunter's really, really strong. Paladins are really, really strong. There's like not like a class in the game other than Warrior that isn't strong at the moment.
Yeah, I wasn't digging Monk, man. The kick, I know that eventually I'm sure the character becomes amazing, but the starting attributes, I was just like, yeah, well, the touch of death, that was
hilarious.
Pretty cool. But
nothing else has that.
But it's not quite a touch of death if you have to get them near death to use the touch of death. The touch of death should just be like,
all characters start out the way that your monk started out, essentially. Right. It started out with 1-2 abilities, and then you have to progress through the game to unlock the rest of the stuff. You're right. You unlock more abilities, you unlock passives, you unlock talents. Or we didn't even get into the talent tree yet. A lot of that stuff is just like, all right, well, Google, okay, that's the one I choose. Got it. Right. Because there's people have done it in trial and error, and there's a specific way to actually do this stuff. So yeah, a lot of that stuff is already like laid out for you, like talents and specializations and stuff. But Hunter's a lot of fun. We could play Hunters, even though I have like 3 now already. Priest is a lot of fun, actually. I like the casters. I like the people who are not on the front line. I have a warrior and I have like a high level monk already. But I really like the people who stand in the back and just do a shitload of damage. That's where I like it.
Yeah, I noticed every once in a while I couldn't see Shane's character, but I would see something fly
over my
just shoulder.
Like, yeah.
It's funny how it's like you play a video game with a person, and no matter what game you're playing, that's the attribute they have. When we were playing a division with Shane, I always knew he was nearby when characters started dropping.
Yeah,
inexplicably, I'm like, oh, Shane's running around somewhere.
My World of Warcraft literally just started an update. I had to pause that.
Real quick. Question I want to ask you. Yeah. I've been meaning to ask you this. You've been playing Divinity. Are you enjoying that? And explain Divinity to me, because I know it's an RPG, but explain it.
The game is very interesting.
Okay.
Talk about a game with a lot of shit to do, right? Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I am enjoying Divinity. I think Divinity is good. I almost want to stop playing Divinity for a while because I really want to focus on WoW right now. And it does take a little bit of time away, but I only play it once or twice a week, so I could get over myself on that. Yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. So it's a turn-based RPG. And now you might not know about what a turn-based RPG is, and the audience definitely might not know about it. So when you get into combat, there's a turn order, just like if you were playing a tabletop RPG, right? Like when you play Dungeons and Dragons, like guy with the highest initiative goes first, right? And then it goes down, cascading from on stats. Divinity is the same way, right? So the faster your character is, essentially, the higher you are up in the turn order, and then like you get a turn, and then whoever's next gets a turn, right? And you have to coordinate how you fight based on the turn order. Who's a tank? Who's doing the most damage, right? You know, who's gonna heal everyone when everyone's taking damage? Like, it's actually really interesting.
Dude, that sounds amazing.
It's another game. It's another game you would thoroughly enjoy, but it's 150 hours worth of content, right? Like, and it's a learning curve too. I didn't really learn how to play what I was playing in Divinity for 20 hours or something, and then it was like clicking. Let's go. Okay, this makes sense now. This is what I have to do. This is how I have to do it, right?
Right.
Similar to WoW, right? In that aspect of like, it takes a little while to like actually learn how to play the game. But once you do, you're like, oh, okay. So like, all right. So everyone's like, you click one fucking button and you attack, right? Like it makes sense like that. But Yeah, so I'm playing the tank in Divinity. I actually generally, including in World of Warcraft, actually, I like being the tank. I like to be the guy who controls the tempo, controls the pace of play, essentially, right? And really like determines what's going to happen in the fight. Divinity is not always quite like that. I am the tank. I usually go in and I'm usually right next to everybody, and I usually try to get everyone to fight me because I have a lot of armor and a lot of health. But Shane's playing a glass cannon, right? So essentially he does a shitload of damage, but if you look at him the wrong way, he dies. And so there's a lot of setup of, okay, well, Shane has to be positioned here so he does optimal damage. Okay, but if he's actually there, that guy is going to teleport and just kill him immediately. So there's a lot of like setup and a lot of strategy to the fights. It's actually a lot of fun.
Dude, it reminded me that what you described reminds me of another game that someone put me onto a PlayStation. I can't remember the name, but basically, when you're playing, you set up it's kind of like chess. You set up your pawns in the optimal position. You get your strategy going, and then you get all your highest mages. You want to put them wherever they're going to be other mages coming against you and make sure they can block your magic and stuff like that. And man, I just got to tell you, there's a reason that I stopped watching boxing. And there's a reason I stopped doing RPGs. This shit sucks me in, dude. Because I'm just like I used to have a notebook I carried around with me. F you, Mantis. I know you're probably going to see this at some point. And when we were doing games and stuff like that, I would just constantly be sitting there tweaking my character. Yeah. Even if I'm never going to use the character, I'm like, well, I just want this attribute. I'm going to move this over here. Got to make sure this bow can penetrate a dragon. Okay, vampires might be there.
Man, you're saying all this stuff, and World of Warcraft is this, right?
Right.
Is that like my mage is very high level. I do an incredible amount of damage. In raids, I'm in the top 5 for damage always. I haven't the last 10 of them that I've done, I haven't been outside of the top 5 of damage. When I do dungeons, I'm usually number 1 by a significant margin, but it's not optimal yet. Right. There's still tweaks. There's still things I could do, still things I could add to make it even better. Even though I'm, in the shit that I do, I'm top 5 normally, or if not first, right? There's still more, right? There's still more to do. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that.
I don't think they should make another WoW movie. I know they're going to. I don't know who greenlit that. I don't know how they watched
the first one.
This really lends itself to an animated series on HBO. Why HBO in particular? Because Showtime can't afford to license it.
Yeah, man, it really would, dude. Because it's all based off of the Warcraft series, right? There was games, Warcraft 1, 2, and 3. It's all based off of that. So yeah, man, it does lend itself really well to a series. I've just been going around recently collecting mounts, trying to collect mounts, right? Because a lot of them have very, very slim drop chances, and collecting like little titles in game. So that's kind of what I've been doing recently.
It's intense. Your gaming schedule is like you're like, yeah, I'm just running around doing some mounts, got off of that, did some Divinity, did what I needed to do there, and then I had enough time to go review COD. Shit on that game. And by the way, you're not in the minority in that, man. So I went through the algorithm, just searched this up to see what the opinion was. There are some people who have some very, very strong opinions about their beta time. Oh, God.
Very bad, man. Very, very bad. I really didn't like it. I got a pretty rare mount today, actually. I got the Headless Horseman mount. Doesn't mean anything to you. I can send you a picture of it later. It's pretty cool. Very rare. A lot of people, I think Peter, for example, doesn't have it, and he's been trying to get it for years. So I was pretty fucking stoked on that.
Humble brag there. He's only committed year or so to his life.
Yeah. He can only do it in Halloween from like the middle of October until the beginning of November, and he can only run it once a day per character. I think I did 17 runs and got it.
Nice.
That's very, very low.
You know what? If you really want to have some fun this Halloween, you should jump into the Halloween Anthem game. That
I don't own Anthem.
That's all right. I'll buy the disc. It's $4. I'll buy it for you.
I don't have a disc drive in my PC.
No, not your PC. Your friggin' PlayStation 4.
I'm not gonna play it on PlayStation, dude. It's holding this monitor up. You think I'm kidding? I
know that you're not kidding. It's like,
but I just know admittedly, it is sitting on the Xbox. It's table, Xbox, PlayStation, monitor.
Your thermal situation right there is amazing. You turn one on, it melts the other.
It's like, I am an Xbox now.
I see someone do a really good skit on YouTube. He was getting ready to apply some new paste to his Xbox and his PlayStation Pro.
Mm-hmm.
This is really, really dad humor. Like the next cut, literally the Xbox is gone. And he's like, where the hell did the Xbox go? You hear the car start up and it screeches off. It drives into a wall. I'm like, that was good. That was good. It's gonna really go on my small YouTuber good attempt, man. I know we got some topics on here that are less fun than WoW, but I want to know which ones you think are less fun than WoW, because there's one on here there's one on here I literally put on here only because people were so upset about it, but there's not much to talk about, and that's good old number 3 here. This is something I have not had to deal with in quite some time because I don't turn it on enough, and when I do turn my PlayStation on, I don't care if it has an update. I usually go text with you, talk to my wife, come back in 4 hours, the update is completed, and then we're ready to go. But I guess the latest update has really shaken the PlayStation community to its core.
Okay.
You're not going to know anything I'm talking about.
Go ahead.
You may know. The chat section. So chats, messages used to be 2 separate things. Your party groups, all that stuff, all separate things. So now they're kind of interwoven. I really don't understand. I was looking at it today and I couldn't tell the difference. I was like, doesn't seem like a big deal to me. But that doesn't mean because it's not a big deal to me that it won't be a big deal to someone else. Apparently 8.0 now, instead of just starting a party chat, if I'm to understand this correctly, and then having that party of me, you, Shane, and Peter, and then out of nowhere, Dave wants to join, so we just add him to the party. You have to create a separate invite, send it out, and pull him back in.
That's annoying.
Now,
so here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, and I think Xbox, you can do this. The Xbox and the PlayStation, honestly, need to outsource their friend and menu system, in my opinion. Or not their menu, but their messaging system, in my opinion. Like, a good example would have been to use Skype on some point on an Xbox, right? Skype wasn't the greatest after Microsoft bought it, but at one point Skype was very good, right? You had your friends list, and you could have had separate group chats, or you could have just said, hey, call this guy, add this guy to the call, add that guy to the call, and there you are, right?
What if I told you they did have it on the Xbox? It never worked the way they
right. No, I know they did. I know they did. It was just an analogy, right? Because most people know what Skype is. Right. Discord. Honestly, if they had Discord integration into both the PlayStation and the Xbox can do Discord, but you can't do it while gaming, I believe. Okay. If they did that integration, that is the way to do it. I'm sorry, that's the way to do it.
No, I think that was one of the first things I posed to you guys when you first put me on to Discord. I was like, oh, why don't they have this on PlayStation? Why don't they have if you can make an APK file for an Android device, totally different platform. I know it's a totally different platform than PlayStation. It's essentially the
same thing.
Yeah, but it's based off of Linux code. If you can do it for that, you can 100% do it.
It's not that Discord can't do it. Right, and I think
Sony won't do it.
Sony won't do it. I think they need to outsource their friends. Maybe not their friends. Keep the friends, whatever. Their messaging and their voice chat needs to be outsourced. I don't think that it should be integrated into the system anymore. It should be a downloaded application, and then it's just easier, right? Because I'm logging into my Discord and I'm in our Discord, my own Discord, Big Fry's Discord, right? Like I'm in everyone's Discord, right? I'm in Discord for games that I like and different streamers and like Landmarks Discord, right? And then like, okay, and then I'm just logged into my shit now. Like, oh, okay, click my Discord. Click, I'm in, right? I'm in the call, and then whoever's there can join, whether they're on PC, whether on Xbox, whether on PlayStation, or even on their cell phone, right? You could do it. I've used Discord for my cell phone at times. You could just do that now. Why does it need to be? Okay, well, the PlayStation has their own thing, and they have to do party chat. Like, why can't I talk to my friends on the PC while I'm playing? You know. Some people like to when I play games, I like to sit and chat with people, right? That's why I started streaming. When I'm playing say a Fallout game, I can only play by myself. I want to sit there and have a conversation with my friends while I'm playing the game. I'm not the guy to get super immersed into things. I never have been, and I know I'm in the minority there, but if I could just be playing Fallout 4 on my PlayStation and sitting in Discord, and you're playing fucking Shadow of Mordor on Xbox, and Shane is playing WoW on his computer, we should all just be sitting there having a conversation, right? I don't see what's wrong with that. And I feel like it should be easier, and it should be all be integrated into Discord's the hot one right now. It switches. It used to be TeamSpeak, then it went to Mumble, then it went to Curse, and now it's on Discord. Discord's the best one out of all of them, in my opinion. It does everything really, really well. We're literally using it right now.
Right.
But that needs to be essentially as an app you could download onto your PlayStation and just use that instead.
No, 100%. I mean, I know we answered the question already, but for the sake of not using brevity, Sony doesn't want to do it. Xbox, Microsoft might be closer to doing something like that. I think the reason that Sony doesn't want to do that is the exact same reason why they took so long to come to the cross-play table. They feel like they're going to lose something, right? They feel like somehow they're going to diminish their product. And what they'll officially say, mark my words, they would 100% say this is, we can't verify that there won't be some type of security breach that puts our clientele at risk. And I'm like, where was that enthusiasm to protect us when the great hack of 2000
whatever it was? I remember that. The shit was down for 9 months, dude.
Like, where was that smoke when we needed you, when the PlayStation Network was getting hacked? But listen, like I said before, because this isn't a big deal to me doesn't mean that it's not a big deal to someone else. So I went around scouring the interwebs to see how people were reacting. I actually went on Reddit, to the Reddit page, to see what people were saying, and man, people are pissed. Now, I don't know if this is just because next gen is right around the corner and people are just looking for a reason to be mad at their poor PlayStation 4. One guy literally said he was an inch away from throwing his PlayStation out the window.
The guy's an idiot, obviously.
Either an idiot or emotionally reactive, and I hope I never bump into him at a Baskin Robbins or anything like that. Like,
what do you mean you don't have cookie dough, you whore?
Like, it's just maddening to me. But let's talk about what Zach just broke down for us. Why can't we have a conversation with our friends on Discord all at the same time? Why do I have to use that stupid chat thing, man?
Dude,
I think it's horrible.
Here's the answer to the question, right? We can. It's called a PC. It's called the superior gaming platform, the superior gaming experience, a computer. Ooh. It really just fucking is. You could play your computer from your couch if you want to do that, like an absolute bum. You could play it from a computer, a desk like I am and like Steve is and like normal people do. Like you could do that, right? A civilized human. Like, it's really like, I'm just making good arguments for why PC gaming is just better. I just mask it.
Dude, I mean, if you really, well, see, now we're gonna get into something that, like, I think it takes a coder and a developer to be in this conversation, because I've watched a great documentary on why the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3 and Xbox exist, and where that market came from, where people just felt like they didn't have the wherewithal or the understanding to build a PC. And you got to think back in the day too, man. Here's the crazy thing. When I was around your age, and I just can't believe I said that out loud, there was no real service to go and be like, hey, can you build this computer for me? You would go to a place like Fry's and they would almost kind of shame you if you didn't know how to build your own PC.
A severe elitist group and stigma around PC gaming. There was for a long time, right? I mean, to be fair, it is really not that hard to build a PC. I've seen some people recently on Twitter say it's very hard. Dude, I built my first PC at like 14. I was a moron. Like, let's be fair. Like, you could have found maybe 3 people on the planet dumber than I was. And I was able to build it, dude. Like, it's not that hard. And I've walked multiple friends during the global pandemic we're in, right? Through building a PC on their own, just over Discord, right? Through a Discord call, or just like someone has a question, I'm like, oh, here's the answer, right? Like, real quick. Like, you can watch a YouTube video and figure it out. Like, it's really not that hard anymore. But there's tons of services now to do it. Pre-built PCs are fine now. You buy a pre-built PC from NZXT, it's fine. Like, it's not even that much of a premium anymore, to be fair.
No. The mystique is definitely taken out of it, man. Especially workstations. Like, this might be something that I could have seen you being involved in this movement, but I've said it before. When people were building computers to make music, that's where you see the most pseudo-elitist activity back in the day. Over it's like, I bought this sound card and this blah blah blah. And now I realize, when I think about a lot of the conversations I have, I'm like, you need to buy any of that stuff. You wasted a lot of money on buying DACs and things.
So no, I think I think you're wrong on this one, honestly, because those DACs and those preamps and the post amps and the lifters, right? That stuff is for a purpose. It serves a very niche, specific purpose. And if you're making music, those are there is no replacement to any of those, right?
If you're making that level of music, like if you're using live acoustics, if you're building that type of studio and you have the space to do it, 100%. If you're a guy who's just using Pro Tools and you're actually never going to plug anything in,
why would you need a DAC for? They're just sitting there collecting dust, bro. What do you wait? I thought you were meant like a studio setting. I apologize.
No. You're right to react that way. I'm telling you, Zach, man, I grew up during the Wild West when people were buying things, and I'm like, dude, why do you have a MIDI controller? You use Fruity Loops, man. You don't even know how to set up your VSTs. You're not going to convince me that you need that MIDI controller if you don't know how to use
one day, bro. One day, I'm gonna learn how to play the keyboard, man.
But if you're really caught up in the console gaming, man, and you're just ardent about not buying a PC, I get it. I just want you to know that like the experience that you're gonna have on the next gen console is gonna be very similar to they're not going to break the mold. I see a better chance of Xbox doing that. Let me not say they. Sony is never going to step. I don't believe it. I don't ever think they're going to step into any situation where their ecosystem has to rely on anything other than the programs like YouTube, which, by the way, they have taken on and put back on the PlayStation Store a few times. It took them forever to integrate Netflix. I don't know if you remember that whole debacle where it was like, no, you can use the disc on the PlayStation 3, but we're not really ready to commit to a standalone program. Sure, yeah. And I was just like, this is outrageous, man.
I've never used a console to watch Netflix.
It's pointless now that you got smart TVs, man. Like the whole thing, it's the center of your entertainment system. But again, not a big deal to me, but it does seem annoying. I was gonna send you some Reddit links on everyone freaking out about this update. I'm like, you bought it, dude. Like, what did you expect? What did you think was gonna happen, man? Like, when does this
software evolves, right? So software has to evolve. Software that stays the way that it was generally is surpassed by something greater, like it has to evolve. It does. It just has to. There has to be features. There has to be security fixes. There has to be bug fixes, right? There has to be almost a living ecosystem. So
no, and I get the premise that any update should bring improvement and not inconvenience. But at a certain point, we have to stop being, what's the word I'm looking for? Weenies about this type of thing. It's like at a certain point, you just gotta like kind of grab your big boy pants and go, hey, you know what? Maybe I need to do something to change my life up a little bit. If this party chat thing is that important to me, and I can see how it is, man. But also, I don't like the party chats. Because even if you make it private, it almost always seems like a ghost makes it into this. You know what I'm talking about, right, Zach? The ghost in the party chat, and you look over and you're like, who the hell is that guy? And how long has he been here?
It's never happened to me. It's never happened.
There are whole YouTube channels based on that Nigerian guy that jumps in and out of people's party chats. I don't know how he does it. I know how he does it on a PC. I don't know how he does it on a PlayStation. But just the other day, I was watching someone stream. They're getting ready to play some COD beta. He looks over and he's like joking with his friends. He's like, "Oh, whoa, who's that guy?" And it's just it's like a fifth person chilling in the party.
I know that works in Discord, right? If you don't have your if you don't have your roles set up appropriately, but
that's amazing. I would love. Oh, that did happen on the Discord you were in. I'm not going to bring it up because that's too inside baseball talking. But it's
never happened. So apparently, from the chat here, thanks. Shout out Billy. Apparently, there's chat monitoring, and you can get banned for chat in your own private chat on PlayStation. Is that a thing? Do you know about those?
I did not know about this. Billy, enlighten us. What are you talking about, man? I mean, use the Google machine.
Yeah, I have. If that's actually the case, and they're NSA spy vanning you the entire time, like, just fucking leave PlayStation. Like, there's literally no reason for you to like ever be on it, man. Like, it's just another case for why.
Oh yeah. This was a huge deal on October 14th. Sony PS4 update will monitor your party chats. Oh yeah, I heard about this actually. So what they're saying is very similar to the Amazon Echo Alexa thing, where it's like, no, we're not monitoring. We're just recording, but we're only keeping 15 seconds of it. Don't be so unreasonable.
All right. Yeah, that's crazy, dude. That's so fucking crazy. I don't like the whole smart home stuff. I have a Google Home, but just for like memes. Like to like, oh, okay, Google, play this song. Oh fuck, it's gonna do the thing. Well, that's it. That's all that I have it for. Like it's just that's it. That's the only thing I have it for.
I unplugged my my Echo because I realized it was a horrible machine. Like I would ask her to do stuff, and I'm like, Alexa, play my party mix. Not recognized. I'm like, what do you mean not recognized? I just set this list up with you a second, Alexa. And once I started arguing with it like it was a person,
yeah, you gotta.
I knew this was an
also, you just turned someone's Alexa on, by the way.
Ah, perfect. Perfect.
Xbox.
Okay, Google.
Xbox. Off.
Okay, Google.
Someone's gonna get pissed at that. That's amazing. Let's move on, man. We've kind of just shit on we've shit on the PlayStation. This is a perennial topic. This one keeps coming back up. Let's shit on another company, actually. Let's shit on an absolute other bullshit garbage company that is Nvidia, that have now canceled the 16 gig 3070s and the 3080 and the 20 gig 3080s. They can't keep supply of their first cards in. And then they were like, all right, boys, let's double the VRAM and move on with our lives. like, excuse me?
Dude, the crazy part about this, you know what I really feel bad for is the board partners. Like the people who were waiting for these cards, like, yeah, everything's spec'd out.
EVGA is like, we're fucking cracked out over here. We got the Kingpin edition for both. It's Kingpin 1 and Kingpin better. And they're like,
calls up like,
wait, they're not coming?
What do you mean you guys have been up doing coke all week? We sent you an email that said they might be released this day.
We spent $1 billion on theoretical R&D. Most
of that capital came from bootlegging your cards and selling them on eBay.
All right, MSI, chill out.
So here's the thing, right? This wasn't even like a speculation. This was a sweeping, resound 100%.
It was an assumption. It was an assumption that it was going to happen originally, and then a cancellation is like, oh, confirmation and gone.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man. Because AMD is so I'm wondering what it's like in their camp right now. They're like, what can we do not to go down this same path? And I'm trying to understand what happened with Nvidia. Were the materials not present? Is it because of COVID that you weren't able to get materials? Is it true that maybe you're just putting a stranglehold on the market to increase demand for an item and hike it up? I know people are having a hard time canceling their pre-orders. I find that very interesting.
Pre-orders
it should never take more than 20. Their pre-orders for their 3080s. Like, you haven't heard about
pre-order it? Could you?
You know, you didn't hear about this, huh? So there are people who were able to push through their pre-order, and then because of delays, they were some of those sad bastards that got emails like, "Hey, your order is going to be delayed. We'll alert you as soon as it's ready." But they couldn't get the money they paid back. Now this happened to a small minority of people, but that's not a good look, man. On top of canceling cards, so all AMD has to do at this point is just not follow this trend. But what do you think happened? What do you think the truth is, Zach? Put your crystal ball hat on. You tell me what really happened here.
They got fucking AMD or Nvidia? Because Nvidia for sure got caught only paper releasing essentially this first set of cards to build the hype, and then they were just going to drop the other card and fucking blow everyone's mind. Is essentially what was going to happen, in my opinion, right?
Right.
And they got caught doing that, and then they have to backpedal and now produce more of the original cards that they didn't want to sell in the first place.
I knew it sounded too good to be true, man. The price to performance ratio this is like, why did we fall for it? It's like the video I clicked on earlier where it said Jaden Smith finally confronted his mother about sleeping with his friend. I was like, oh man, I would love to hear what he's got to say on this topic. And lo and behold, it was just more of Jada Pinkett talking about sleeping with his friend. It's clickbait, man. We fell for it. Now what's AMD going to do about it? How could their launch be any better?
don't do the thing that Nvidia did. I don't know, right? They're only releasing CPUs as far as I'm concerned. I don't care about their graphics cards. Their graphics cards are going to be not as good as what Nvidia has at the moment. So yeah, I mean, their CPUs are going to come out. They'll have enough of them, right? Because I don't think they have a huge market at the. Well, they have a pretty big market. It's growing for sure, but I don't know. I don't know, right? I think it's hard to manufacture things right now, and I think they have to admit that, and then say, hey, you know, we're gonna be releasing this stuff in waves, right?
I'm sorry, that face wasn't at you. It was just that the greatest antivirus program Webroot just jumped up on the screen right now, and I'm like, what the hell? Sorry about that.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's what it is, right? They have to admit that things are really hard to be manufactured at the moment, and then they're gonna have to, you know, say, hey, listen, we're gonna have 10,000 of these total on day one. So if you get it, you get it. If not, then in 6 weeks from then, we'll have another 20,000. That's what our manufacturing expectations are, and we'll move on from there, right? Like I think that's the way to do it. I think preemptive PR, I believe, is the right word, or the right phrasing. Proactive PR potentially, and just like, you know, get out ahead of it and say, hey, listen, this is what's going on. This is what's going to happen.
No, I mean, what you've just done is like breaks the cardinal rule of business. Never ever admit that there's no stock there, but it is the best. It's the most appropriate way to handle it. I think Sony and Xbox and Microsoft should take the same lead. Like, hey, you guys know what's going on in the world. We're limited right now.
Yeah,
we're not going to hike the price up, and we're not going to lower the price or anything. When you buy it,
you get it. It'll create hype, in my opinion, right? Like, it'll create a sense of urgency of people like, I got to get this. I got to get this.
Yeah. The only thing that really pisses me off about this whole situation, not that I was going to buy a 20 gig car. I mean, obviously, like, in a perverse way, I look at these type of things and I'm like, man, how great would my life be with a 20 gigabyte video card as I play Dark Souls like an Assassin's Creed, a game that can't even touch that. What sucks is I wonder if there were people that were relying on these price to point ratios, and it's like, I'm screwed. Like, I've told the whole company we were buying these things. Now we're not going to get them. No, probably not. Fuck Nvidia, dude. I'm sorry, man.
I don't know, because like, you gotta remember that the 20 gig and the 16 gig cards were not confirmed. They were rumored. So you couldn't have, like, if you had planned something off of a rumor, it is your fault if it fails.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Get your life right, man. Zach has told you people multiple times, stop trusting these companies. I think he used a different word. Dim hose is how he described it the last time we talked.
That is in my vernacular. I agree.
I don't know. Do you think there's any recovery? So I haven't looked at their stocks. I haven't looked at how this has impacted their bottom line. I know they're catching a lot of slack over the whole debacle on the internet. Do you think this is going to impact the company negative, like, for years, or is this just something that's just consumers going to have a short memory on it and then forget about it once
it'll be a
the ship's righted? Short memory issue. You're looking at the stocks right now?
I'm looking at the stock right now. In September, it peaked at 573.86, and right now we're at 543.61. It's, you know, it's regular. It's a fairly regular fluctuation. You know, it's essentially at its highest point it's ever been in. You know, like, so it went up $9 today. Like, no, it's not going to affect the company long term. They just bought ARM. Like, they spent $30 billion or whatever it was on ARM Holdings. Like, no, I think they'll be fine. I think it's going to be a little bit of a rough patch. Their sales figures are going to be 14% less than what they had projected based on pre-COVID projections, right? And you know, that margin of error is probably acceptable, and here we are. You know, I don't think. Listen, I'm not. I didn't take fucking. You know, I don't work for the Fed, right? I'm not an economist, but in my opinion, that's what would happen or will happen.
You really you hung in there and you got that out, man. I appreciate that. I was like, you're not a what? Say it. You know, you didn't go to business school. Doesn't matter. You don't need to go to business school. You got YouTube. As long as you can discern the information, that's all.
You need a little bit.
That's
more
all college is.
Yeah, a little bit more than YouTube, but
listen to me. If you have a heart attack tomorrow, I've watched enough videos on open heart surgery and Dr. Pimple. Well, I could save your life, dude. It's a fact. Absolute fact.
Can
All
you?
I'm going to need. Yeah, I got you. I don't know if I'm going to get to you in time, but I got you when I show up, dude.
Show up
I don't know when
show
I'm
up with
going
a shovel and hit me with it.
Like, just end it. Like,
Just end
hold
it.
on. I got his medication right there.
Dunk. And record the noise that it makes and then make that your fucking ringtone.
Oh man, I don't know why this conversation just reminded me of my least favorite scene in the movie, Saving Private Ryan. Remember when the guy gets stabbed slowly?
No, I've seen Saving Private Ryan. I don't remember any of it.
What?
Yeah. I don't remember fucking movies and stuff. We've had this discussion 5,000 times.
I know. I don't remember discussions that I have, and this is why we make good friends, man. But it's a Tom Hanks movie, man. He's a national treasure.
Yeah.
First guy to get the cure to COVID, man.
That's actually true. It might be true. Yeah, I mean, Tom Hanks is pretty okay.
What? What did you
kill Steve?
Tom Hanks is amazing, dude. Name one other actor that plays himself in every movie that's as good as Tom Hanks, besides Bruce Willis, Keanu Reeves, Val Kilmer, and Denzel Washington. Name 5 other actors.
Robert De Niro.
Oh shit. Al Pacino,
Joe Pesci,
Morgan Freeman,
Tom Cruise. Wait, did you say Tom Cruise? Tom Cruise is one.
Tom Cruise. Who else is
Will Smith is usually cast as Will Smith.
Absolutely, man. Oh man. Will
The
Smith
Rock is cast as The Rock always.
In different scenarios.
It's like, what would The Rock do if the fucking world was separating at the seams? And it's like, well, we have San Andreas now, and
I couldn't make it through that movie, man, for multiple reasons. But I
looked at it and was like, pass. I saw they're like, hey, we're making Jumanji over, and I'm like, okay, pass.
I watched Jumanji. I did not watch the second one. Some friends of mine were watching San Andreas. That's the name of that movie. On a Kodi box, illegally. And I was like, and it was the perfect 1080p, you know. And I'm just like, oh, this is good. I sat down for a second. I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna be able to do it. A movie that starts off with a family member drowning sets me up to believe that same scenario is gonna happen again. And it's just not a movie I need to be involved in when there's foreshadowings like that. Also, he was in a movie where he had one leg and he was running around a skyscraper that was on fire, and he saved his entire family. Don't know if you know that.
The Rock?
Yeah. Had one leg.
I mean,
do it.
Okay. You know what? I don't want to know how it happens or why it happens. I want to move on from this because I'm very confused.
I just want to know what the pitch meeting for that was. They're like, wait, didn't we make this movie? They're like, we did. But now he's only got one leg. I assume that's how all the Fast and Furious pitches went, right? Like after the third one.
Thanks, Billy. Shout out, Billy.
The movie's. I'm sorry, there's a delay for me. Just saw it. It's a great movie, Billy. I know you love it. What else we got here, man? What else do we have in this shit show?
Listen, man, it's up to you. I don't care. The rest of the topics, you know, I could not care any less about. And you
know what? You highlighted one I'm actually happy about. I'm not happy about this, but you put it on there, and it seen some shenanigans going on in the UFC right now. Dana White.
A little bit of politics. Well, normally within the UFC, but this is like strong arm politics.
This is old school promoted politics right here. Go ahead. I'm sorry, buddy.
They kicked poor Leon Edwards out of the good old rankings there in the UFC. He was number 3. They were like, hey, sir, you can fuck off. And Leon Edwards was like, excuse me. And then they were like, here's Khamzat Chimaev. And he's like, I guess, dude. I guess. And now that is on for December, the headliner of a December card at this point. I have no idea, but I'm on board, dude. I'm on board. This is a shitty fight for Leon Edwards. Not because I think he's going to lose miserably or lose horribly. Right. You know,
right.
He opened as the favorite and that quickly flipped, but he doesn't, even if he wins, it's not anything like that's bad for the UFC, right? And it's who cares? He beat an unranked guy,
No, you're absolutely right. This is a lose-lose. I mean,
a lose-lose. No, it is a lose-lose. Because if he loses, then it's like if he loses, I will take a 50-cent bet that he is booted from the UFC if he loses.
Well, all right, so
they cut him if he loses to Khamzat. Guaranteed.
That is an interesting statement, but let's talk about what would lead them there, because usually people play a role in their own demise. Sure. Rarely is someone just a victim of circumstances, and there are people that these type of things happen to, but so let's look at Leon Edwards, right? He's been offered a couple of fights. I want to give him the respect that he's owed. He is a guy that people have ducked, continuously prior to COVID. But he didn't take the fight with Tyron. If you remember correctly, we covered this on the show because COVID had just struck. He didn't want to put his family in danger.
Sure.
No, obviously, no one's going to hold that against you. Now, if we're to believe everything that comes out of Dana's mouth and out of Sean Shelby's mouth, he's been offered multiple fights and have turned them down. And a functioning UFC.
His excuse is that he's waiting for the title shot, right? Which, I don't even know who he fought. Like, I have to go look and see what kind of streak he's on and who he fought. Like,
well, that's why the fight with Tyron would have been great, right? Because he would have taken the hype that that Burns got from beating Tyron Woodley. Even though to the initiated, we know that this is a weekend.
Yeah, he hasn't.
No disrespect to Tyron. No, he hasn't fought anyone except for he lost to Usman. But
but that was 5 years ago.
Yeah, was it 5 years ago?
December 19th, 2015. There's a lot, and it was the last time he lost too.
Oh no, he lost that fight with Masvidal at the post part.
Well, yeah, sure, but that's the last fight he lost, right?
But he did this himself too. Inactivity, forced inactivity is going to happen if you're not a champion already, and if you haven't been a champion before. When you pull this type of stuff, you're gonna get spanked and you're gonna get bounced. Now, the sad thing about this situation is I didn't know they were gonna flex on him this hard. I didn't even know this thing had happened until Cash had sent me the information. And I'm like, wow, they bounced him from the rankings. I get that. You're inactive. How can you hold your ranking? And then they're like, you want to get back in the rankings? You're gonna have to fight this absolute of a beast, who, by the way, is not even ranked yet. And you're putting it all on the line. And if he gets cut from the UFC, it's going to happen. Go for it.
It'll happen. He'll 100% get cut from the UFC for sure. Here's the thing, right? His last fight was in July of last year.
Yeah.
When Conor was a title holder at 45, didn't he not fight for like 18 months or something? And they didn't strip the title from him?
That was like before. So he beat Eddie Alvarez. So it happened, actually, interestingly enough, happened 2 times. So he beat he beat Aldo, didn't defend the 145 belt. He was supposed to fight RDA. You remember this whole thing? Like, he was supposed to go up and fight RDA. RDA got injured, and that's when the Nick Diaz thing happened. So he was an active fighter. He fought Nick Diaz twice, but the problem was he hadn't defended his belt. And then the same thing happened with the 155 strap. He got stripped. He 100% got stripped.
Like, how many years later?
18 months.
It was 18 months later. He got stripped. He didn't get removed from the from the fucking.
But Zach, he is the champion. They're gonna give you every opportunity, unless you're
fighting somewhere else. You're fighting somewhere else. You're not fighting in your division, right? And you're not in title contention for another division. You're fighting at
are we talking
7. Dude, he was talking about 45. He was the 45 champion, right? And then went up to 70 to fight Nate Diaz. And then went back.
He was supposed to go up to 155. We were supposed to go up to 155 first. RDA pulled out of the fight, and that's how Nick Diaz got into the mix. That's how at the catchweight. I don't disagree with you, but we're both realists. We have to be real about when you're a draw versus when you're friggin' Leon Edwards, a man who could come in here and beat my fat ass to death anytime he wanted to.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is,
I agree.
you have to stay with the momentum as you have it. So I'm looking at his record, man. He won against Gunnar Nelson, which, by the way, I don't think many people gave him that fight. Are you a Gunnar Nelson fan at all?
No, not particularly.
He's a dangerous man.
Sure.
He's a dangerous, non-assuming fight for anyone. And then he beat RDA. You got to ride that momentum. I get that you don't want to put your family in danger, and I would never force anyone to do that. But you decline one fight over COVID. The system's up now. It's working. You know how they get down. You know what's coming next. It would be one thing if they weren't pumping out fights every week. But if you're rejecting fights like to wait for a championship match against two guys where the fight has already been postponed twice, you're getting stripped, especially if there's a dude in your weight class. It's like, yo, I'll fight at this weight class and the one above me as often as you'll let me fight.
He also, to be fair, he also ducked Wonderboy Thompson.
Who's that? Edwards?
Yeah.
It's a bad look when you're
ducking Steve Wonderboy. Dude, I don't think he doesn't want any part of Wonderboy Thompson, man.
There are quite a few people that have ducked Wonderboy Thompson. I'll tell you off air some gym rumors that I've heard of some of the people who've ducked him. But I will tell you that the people who have stepped up to fight him, I got a lot of respect. Like Masvidal, arguably, that was a bad fight. That was a bad fight on paper from the moment they announced it. And I was like, oh, he's gonna get his ass whooped. Like from beginning to end because he's got the perfect style. But Leon Edwards, I actually think he would have gave Wonderboy problems. To do this to yourself, to shoot yourself in the foot like this is on him. But now let's switch it on to our favorite buddy Dana White and Sean Shelby. This was some backroom Vegas bullshit they pulled on this kid on their side, dude.
Sure.
Like you know this conversation happened in one sentence. It wasn't like hey, get your manager in
Plans 37. 37, 37, sir. They're like in the back office, like digging through filing cabinets, and they're like, "Plan 37, I found it." Okay, all right, boys, we're going. Leon Edwards, fuck you.
I mean, so Zach, hypothetically, you're the president of the UFC. You got a guy like Leon Edwards on top of many other headaches in front of you. How do you handle the situation?
About the same.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it sucks to say, but like, you could be offered like there's like an unwritten rule in the UFC. If you turn down 3 fights, they're just like they just don't like you anymore, right? Like, you turn down the fight for COVID, fine, dude. I respect that. We have everything in place. Fight Islands for this amount of time, and then back to Vegas for this amount of time, and then back to Fight Island for this amount of time. You have to book inside of that, right?
Right.
We're gonna get you there. Hey, Leon Edwards, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson wants to fight. This date, this time, you guys are the headliner. Nah, I'm good. No. You've already said that once. After one win, you get one turn down. I'll give you that respect. But we're gonna bump you down to number 8 in the rankings. Wait, what? Why are you bumping me down to number 8? Well, a number 3 fighter doesn't turn down one of the toughest fights in the division. Number 8. That's where I think you belong. Okay. Hey, here's Khamzat Chimaev. He's not ranked. Well, now neither are you. So good fucking luck. Because that guy's a nightmare.
and there's always the option of like, hey, Bellator's hiring. I'm sure their events are doing extremely well right now.
I'd be like, Bellator's hiring, but I hear they don't like people who turn down fights either. You could go to Ryzen.
The Yakuza are very, very forgiving about people turning down fights.
They're very forgiving. And hey, they'll provide you with the steroids. Good luck, sir.
So there are a lot of people who think there's other shenanigans going on. I mean, let me put the conjecture rumor mill hat on for the welterweight division. So a lot of people think the fix is in. This is probably the most idiotic conspiracy theory that I've heard, but let me just lay it out. They think the fix is in because the Kamaru Usman and Burns fight has been delayed. They don't understand their logistics, their promotions that have to happen, and there are bigger fights. If a bigger fight comes along, boxing, MMA, kickboxing, Muay Thai, guess what happens to the smaller fight? They're lucky to stay on the card.
Bumped.
Yeah, they get back. They get bumped.
You're going to the prelims, bitch.
Yeah, that's just the name of the game. So there's some people who think the fix is in and that this is all, some large, vast conspiracy to get don't put me on the spot. To get the murderer. That's what I will refer to him as because he is a murderer. To get him into a title fight as quickly as possible. But the problem with that is a good conspiracy theory has to be based in some type of fact, right?
Or reality.
And Oh yeah, I'm like, there's no point in fast tracking this kid because even if you did fast track him to Burns or Kamaru Usman, 100% right now in his career, he gets smoked by either one of those guys.
I agree.
But if you give him fights that build him up and build up his brand,
let's get this guy 5 or 6 fights, man. You know, give him 6 fights. You fucking made Tony Ferguson sit around for the last 7 years or whatever it was without a title shot. Get this kid fucking 5, 6 fights under his belt in the UFC against the best competition. Give him a 15 to 10 guy. Was it Carlos Condit that called him out? Fuck it. Sacrifice Carlos Condit to this kid, right?
Yeah.
Then work him up the rankings, legit put him through, right? Like John had to do, like Stipe has done, like fucking, like all the old champions had done, right? Like
Kamaru has done, yeah.
Like Kamaru has done, like Gilbert Burns has done, right? Like let him progress, let him get that experience, let him get more than 45 seconds of fight time, man, because that's all. Has he gone into the second round once, maybe? Like in the 3 fights, he's going to the second round once. He fucking almost killed poor GM3. Like he hit him with a jab and killed him. Like dropped him. Like, okay, all right, that's scary. And that guy has okay striking, good enough, right? Like
he's known for his durability though. Like
I wasn't going to mention that.
He's not some washed up journeyman, but you're right. And I know you're a huge proponent of this, and I'm 100% in agreement with you. Do not pump this kid up because I'm not no one's gonna fall. No one's gonna fall for it. And I'm gonna tell you why we're not gonna fall for it in the welterweight division.
There's some killers in that division, man.
Yes,
there are some killers in that division.
Stylebender is a different case, right? Any fight that comes up to a flashy striker like that,
50 kickboxing fights, right? He has a striking career.
Exactly.
They didn't give him the uber wrestler.
Decorated career. But when you have a champion like Kamaru Usman, and why is he different than Tyron Woodley? Because Kamaru is not going to break from his base, man. Like if he'll box with you, he'll strike with you. But the minute that doesn't go his way, he's taking you down. And then you're in a world of hurts. But when you have a dominant champion like that, dude, no one's going to buy rushing this kid into that fight. But I agree with Zach, man. Build him up and make us enjoy it. I like being along for that type of ride, especially if he's a dominant fighter, dude. Talk to anybody that watched Rich Franklin come up in the ranks in MMA. To watch this dude tear through it and to see him finally become champion, that's a great narrative. Yeah. But what does it matter what 2 losers on the YouTube say about this? Dana's going to do what Dana does. He's going to Dana out. You know, he's in the hotel in Abu Dhabi right now, sniffing orange juice, wilding out.
Listen, they have a plan for the kid, right? Like, at least almost be transparent about it, right? Hey, listen, we think this guy's going to be our next big star. We like the way he fights. You know, he's flashy. He seems to be an intelligent fighter, right? He could strike and he could wrestle even better than his striking, essentially, right? Like, we like his style. We're gonna fast track him. Either do that, like, be fucking transparent about it, or let the kid get a career under his belt before you throw him to Kamaru Usman. He's not. They don't like Usman as a champion, I think, because he has boring fights. Right, that's very clear. They don't like him as a champion. You know, they wouldn't name another champion that fights as often as Kamaru has since he's become a champion. I know he's been injured or whatever, but every time he's not on an injury, he's in a camp and fighting. You know,
yeah, he's ready to go. He's ready to go. He's a classic MMA. He's a classic MMA fighter, in the same cut from the same vein as George St. Pierre.
But champions don't have to do that normally. Champions can do the 1 fight a year thing and be fine. Khabib does it, right? Khabib, I think, is the most dominant champion in the UFC at the moment. We'll find out tomorrow or the day that this airs if that still holds true. But there is, you know, he could do the 1 fight a year thing, right? Peter Yan will be able to do the 1 fight a year thing because I think he's going to be a dominant champion. Alexander Volkanovski is going to have to fight twice a year because he has to make up for the Max Holloway stuff that everyone thinks he lost, right? But then he beats, I don't know, who did they say he's going to fight next? Brian Ortega. He smokes Ortega. He's on the 1 fight a year track, right? Like, your champions get that. Your champions get to pick the fights that get to come to them. Chimaev, like, or Usman is not in that. He's not there.
Category.
He's not in that category.
That fight with Colby, but the fight with Colby, if we're going by those same that same category and that premise,
one of the best fights I've ever seen.
One amazing. You know why champions originally were able to pick their fights at one fight a year? Because the people ranked below them were fighting amongst themselves
to get up there.
Up to get up there. And that's actually what makes combat sports like entertaining, because it's like watching, it's not just a champion. We know he's the baddest man in his weight division, but watching all these killers take each other out to get to him is what makes fighting unique as a sport. Once you start effing with that foundation, I don't know why I said effing. Once you start screwing with that foundation, then you take away the excitement. Now, I'm going to say publicly on air, I allowed myself to get swept up in the Stylebender versus
whoever.
Yeah, whatever that guy said. Not
Yoel didn't deserve to be there. He lost 4 out of 5. Or 3 out of 4 at that time.
And it's a shame that he went in there and did what he did, knowing that he shouldn't have gotten a title shot. I thought he was going to come out like a bat out of hell. When Stylebender fought, what's this kid's name, man?
Paulo Costa.
Paulo Acosta. You're right. You're right. Looking at his march towards the championship, I know that was more about proximity rather than skill. But damn, he looked good. He looked good on paper. Like on paper, I'm thinking body shots. I'm thinking hooks to the body. I'm thinking massive leg kicks to that back leg.
This right there is what Yoel. If Yoel had done that, Yoel wins that fight.
Well, Stylebender admitted openly, like, when the fight started, he was wanting to pull Yoel into his thing, but Yoel's a crafty old man. And the one time Stylebender
decided made of steel.
And the one time he tries to engage, what does he get for his efforts? The fastest overhand I've ever seen.
But we forget Yoel actually hit him. Yoel hit him in that fight. So he hit him fucking hard. It would have killed a regular man.
Yoel proves that old man strength and speed is a real thing. You ever notice that old dudes can move really quick when they're trying to get that last piece of turkey at the family buffet or whatever? It's like, damn, Uncle George flew over the table right there. Did you see that? He teleported. I'm just saying this, man. And this is why we need to do a live watch of an MMA event one of these days, man.
It wouldn't be that exciting between the two of us, because it would be like, oh shit, wow, okay, wow, that was nut shot number 47. Okay,
but this is the same thing that happened with poor Lomachenko, right? So now we got to deal with the blowback in boxing, and like the guy was the dominant champion. It's not his fault that he's inactive. I know that there were other things going on in the world and in his life when you get to that point. I was really taken back. I have never paid much attention to his record, but I want you to know something. That is very uncommon in boxing for him to have the record he has and to have been that close to being a 4-belt champion. When you said it at first, I was like, wait,
he has like 16 wins or something. He has like 18 fights or something, right? And he was going to be a 4-belt champion. Yeah. B, he was considered the pound for pound best, right? Yeah. I bought into that at one point too, and now I'm totally listen. He has the best footwork maybe ever, potentially. His footwork is absolutely insane. He doesn't beat Canelo. He doesn't beat Canelo.
Canelo's a monster.
You have to beat Canelo to be the pound for pound best right now.
If you can make it up to that weight class, I mean, Canelo's got it coming.
74 or something.
I know it sounds weird to say that because we watch MMA, but like to think about like Lopez and Lamo, man, like for them to make up to 170 and then to fight Canelo.
It's a lie. No, I know. Because the boxing weight classes are so different, and then they weigh in the day of the fight, right? Yeah. So they're like pretty on weight normally. 14, 15 pounds usually is a difference, but that's still big, right? Because you got to come in 15 pounds over that the week of the fight, drop it, and then and then you're good, right? Like
you get the quick Google fingers. Can you tell me what weight class that Canelo and Mayweather fought at? But here's the crazy thing. So like as we're looking at this, and this does relate to Leon Edwards. Like look at a kid like Lopez, right? He probably got a shitty contract to fight.
Mayweather does that thing where he makes people fucking come down to his weight. It was for the super welterweight title, which I believe is 54.
That's what I thought. So I was like, what weight class?
Yeah, he made him come way down. That's not his natural weight class.
So like that's what I like about this kid Lopez, right? He said, I'm gonna fight him now in spite of the contract. in spite of the fact that they didn't give me a rematch clause, right? Even if it's a close fight, you guys aren't going to let me run it back if I feel like I got robbed. But he went in there and did what he had to do.
52,
I think this
52.
I think 152.
152. And then Mayweather does that thing where he weighs in 2 pounds under.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, I mean, the crazy thing is he's a phenomenal athlete you would think he's just effing off all the time, but he gets it in.
No, there's like, have you heard the stories of fucking where they're like, hey, we're going from this club to that club, and he's like, I'll meet you there, and they're like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm gonna run. Like,
yeah.
What? What do you mean? You're worth $1 billion. Shut the fuck. He's like, he's already running, boys. He's already running. Get in the car. Just catch up.
You know what's crazy, man? He posted. A lot of people thought this was like really crass and unclassy, but Mayweather posted a $450 million check from one of his fights. And I think he did it because there were some rappers that were talking trash about him. He's like, what you don't understand is that this is the check after taxes, right? My account is already taken everything out that's going to the state. He's like, this is the amount of money that you are hoping to make one day as a rapper. And I made it. In 12 rounds.
Yeah. He makes so much fucking money, man.
I mean, I know we're talking about Edwards here, but I don't want to fall into that old thing like a fighter's got to fight. I know there's the business behind this, man, but I do on one hand feel extremely bad for him, but he also put himself in this corner. Yeah. Now, let's talk about what that fight is going to look like. Who are you picking in that one?
I don't know. I have to go back and watch. Here's the thing, right? I'm not that familiar with Leon Edwards, right? Because he fights. He doesn't. I don't think he fights that much, and I can't remember when the last time I saw him fight was, which would have been in 2019, obviously, right? I watched the fight. I know I watched the fight. I just don't remember the fight.
Right.
So I would have to watch the fight, watch his last 3 fights or something, and then I'll give you an idea. I think Chimaev is very good, but he's a very good prospect. And in my opinion, prospects brought to reality too quickly usually crash and burn. It happens in baseball. It happens in football. It happens in fighting, right? So let's be fair. I need to go back and do some Leon Edwards research. I mean, I saw him get hit by Masvidal 57 times. So that's funny. But, you know.
Amazing. No, you know what? So I'll just give you my humble opinion on the situation. Leon Edwards has got amazing striking. I believe he has a background in traditional martial arts and like a hint of Muay Thai and kickboxing, but he's got amazing scrambles too. So he has everything it takes to beat anyone else but Kamaru Usman.
Sure.
Anyone else, like I do believe if him and Masvidal square up, he beats him. I think he gives Wonderboy real problems, and Wonderboy has been susceptible to the last minute power punch that comes over his shoulder while he's trying to.
Wonderboy?
Yeah.
He's been knocked out once.
No, but he's been knocked down multiple times in fights where he needed not to get knocked down. Both fights with Tyron Woodley. Wonderboy was cleared, set for a victory, coasting off into the sun with the belt. And when
fifth round, Tyron Woodley.
It's crazy, but Chimaev, man. So here's what I have seen from him from the limited amount of rounds that he has. We know that his top control is nasty, right? And how he gets you there is extremely explosive. Can he do that for 5 rounds if you're able to stuff it? I don't know, but apparently probably could. But we also know now that if you stuff his takedown, you're gonna have to worry about his striking as well. But that's something we need to see a little bit more of, because even though that was a clean cross right to the jaw, who knows?
It was one strike. You know, like, again, we didn't see him. It's not like he threw it like a 3-4 punch combo, right? Like,
he walked him down and punched him.
Right. He walked him down to the cage, got him against the cage. The same way Khabib does, by the way. Making you afraid of that takedown, and then hits him with the slickest cross I've ever seen. Just straight through the guard and on the button, and puts him out. Right.
You don't care about this, but I meant to text you earlier, and I'm sorry it has to happen on air. So the last man to beat Stylebender just signed with an MMA organization.
Yeah, Alex Pereira. He's fought MMA prior.
Yeah, but so here's the thing. I hate when they do this type of stuff, man. it does not matter that he's fighting in this organization, right? They did this with poor Todd Duffy, and Conor McGregor. As Todd Duffy made his way to the MMA, they're like, well, the last man to beat Conor McGregor will be making his way to UFC now. And I'm like, yeah, but you still got to fight a ranked opponent.
He has to fight 7 more people, right? Like that guy, does he even fight at, what weight class does he fight at, right? Is he going to fight at 85? You know, like, where is he going to be? You know, he could fight at 205 for all we fucking know, right?
Yeah.
And the guy is great. He's a great kickboxer. Let's be fair, right? Yeah. But that doesn't always translate super well into MMA, because you get that fucking wrestler who's going to grab you by the legs. He's going to get hit in the back of the head. You're going to hurt your hands, and he's going to fucking take you down and maul you, right? Yeah. Like, or you're going to do what Stylebender does and sit on the outside and pick you apart. And, you know, we don't know what fighter he's going to be until he actually fights in a legit organization. He's fighting he's fighting in some feeder organization, right? He's fighting in who?
IFA? I think that's it.
I've never heard of that one. But like, it's a feeder organization, right? Like, it's a feeder org. It's, you know, it's not the PFL, it's not ONE, it's not Bellator, and it's not the UFC. So it's a feeder organization into one of these, right? And I give PFL a lot of credit there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like, wow. Like, that was a great promo for them. I'm like, are they paying you on the low or something?
Well, you know, I'd show up to one of your events. I could be an influencer there. I'm gonna influence nobody. I'm gonna show up and be like the beer guy and be like, hey, I'm gonna take one of those on the house. He's like, who the fuck are you? No, but like, you're a feeder organization, right? Like, that's fine, dude. I would kill to be a feeder organization in MMA, because I bet you they make crazy good deals.
Oh, the promoters, the back end deals, you will not convince me when these contracts are getting bought out. When they were buying out contracts from fighters for like Rumble from the World Series of Fighting, they got paid.
Gaethje, the Gaethje, you know, buyout, like all these guys. Yeah, man, they're gonna be crazy. But you're also a feeder organization, right? You're the double A of MMA. So,
you know who sucks to be in this scenario? Bellator. I have nothing to back this up.
Bellator scoop in and sign this guy, and then we'll never get the fight.
No, 100%. But could you imagine being Bellator, Scott Coker showing up to the feeder organization like, I'm gonna go buy some contracts today. You see Dana walk out with Sean Selby like, we left you some stuff in there. I'm also making, since we're talking about MMA, and I know we were gonna make the obvious transition to, and I can't wait to see what Monday's episode is gonna be like. I'm gonna make a call here, man, and since we're talking about jumping off hype train,
you're gonna say that Gaethje's gonna beat Khabib.
No, I wasn't gonna say that. I was gonna say we will never see John Jones go to heavyweight. I just woke up this morning in a very sober feeling, and I was like, you know what? This is not a thing that's actually gonna happen. I just realized that, man. And I think that's where Stylebender got him the best in that little Twitter feud, was when Stylebender, you know, because Jones had been saying like, you need more time to get ready for me, and Stylebender's like, you've been talking about going to heavyweight
for a decade.
It's a thing that's not going to happen.
It'll never happen.
But if we're going to talk about Khabib versus Gaethje, I'm going to leave with my heart on this one, Zach. My brain tells me that Gaethje's going to walk in there and he's going to get devoured.
Dude, I don't want to make a prediction on this one. I really don't. And I've been very bold with my predictions in the past. I want to just sit back and relax on this one. I have no idea. Gaethje has the power to, and the striking, and the durability, you know,
and the wrestling,
and the.
He's a wrestler,
sure. But does he have better grappling than Abel Trujillo?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, no, so I won't say he has better grappling, because Abel Trujillo is a stud. I never knew why. I mean, he lost. This is why his career never took off. But Gaethje has a good scramble, and he's been scrambling long enough to give a problem.
Who's the best scrambler in the UFC at the moment? It's probably Khabib. It's probably fucking Khabib.
We still think it's Khabib, but I'm telling you, there's a perfect way to beat him. You just have to roll a perfect 20, and you have to execute.
I don't think Gaethje does. I don't think Gaethje has to roll a perfect 20 on this. I think Gaethje's path to winning this is a little more broad than a lot of people think it is, right? Let's be fair. Khabib is prone to getting hit on the way in. If Gaethje at all can circle around the center of the cage and not against the cage, right? Not with his back against the cage, he outstrikes Khabib 100 times out of 100. He sits on the outside. He hits him as many times as he wants, right? And that's essentially what his game plan is going to be coming in. Now, Dustin Poirier's game plan was the same. Conor McGregor's game plan was the same, right? And we don't know how it works going into it, but I feel like Gaethje has one of those, like, what are the intangibles where it's like, okay, he's the most violent guy in the most violent sport, right? He doesn't mind getting hit to give, taking one to give one. I feel like he can get in he could bait Khabib into an exchange, because I mean, Al Iaquinta baited him into boxing with him essentially, right? If Khabib does that and doesn't follow his game plan of like, all right, got to go out there, get him against the cage, any means necessary, or get him to the ground any means necessary, and we've seen it in the past of him getting baited. Third round of the Conor fight, did he shoot for a takedown until the end of the round, like the last minute or something, right? He got baited into boxing with him. He's prone to that, right? He has flaws, and Gaethje striking is that, right? He's more of less of a super accurate, gonna hit you right on the right spot 10 times in a row Conor guy, and more of I'm gonna hit you so hard you're gonna have to rethink what the fuck is going on right now guy.
So you know what? That is 100% accurate up into the Tony fight. So Jason Pereira has done a really good job of turning Gaethje from the slobber knocker fighter that he used to.
I may have expressed that, but no. His striking is very good, and he's a very intelligent fighter. That's what I'm saying. I feel like he could bait Khabib into doing the things that Khabib is prone to doing, and that's not a knock on him being a brawler like he used to be. That is the game plan. Right?
No, you were 100%. Let me propose this to you, right? You're 100%. Khabib has put himself in positions where I think the only thing that's prevented from people from putting hands on him has been absolute fear. There's no denying it, right? When you look at the amount of space the strikers like Edson Barboza, Conor McGregor, Michael Johnson,
Dustin Poirier,
they are within striking range, and there's only one thing preventing them from pulling the trigger. They're worried that he's going to do something that he has not done in quite some time. He's going to shoot the single, or he's going to shoot a double leg. And I'm not saying that he doesn't have those tools in his bag, right? What it's going to be for Kevin Gaethje is going to be a lot of what you said. There's going to be sorry,
Kevin Gaethje. Kevin, who's Kevin Gaethje? That's like an old high school teacher.
No, he's a guy I went to school with. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was close. I was close. I don't think Justin Gaethje is going to have that issue, right?
What? So his lateral movement, yes. I'm sure they've been drilling that, and that's going to be amazing. He's going to have to do something that might make him a little uncomfortable, but I think that he's able to do it. He's going to have to switch stances on the transition so he can lead with his backhand and switch to his right. So what I'm talking about is if he has to catch him with a cross and then hit him with a jab while he's moving,
he has to transition from orthodox to southpaw to do that, because you have to move side to side, and that's the easiest way to get lateral movement. Yeah, I totally understand the science of what he has to do. But I feel like he has the tools to do it. If he can circle to the center of the cage and not put himself in the back against the cage, shitty spot that everyone has put themselves in.
Hold on for a second. I feel like I'm in the fucking Twilight Zone right now, man. This is the same exact shit I said to you and Cash when we were still working at the school with each other. And you guys looked at me like I had a penis coming off my forehead.
Well, you probably did that day. No, listen, like the more, first of all, I didn't know striking the way that I do now, to be fair, right? And I don't, I don't know the sport. I didn't know the sport as well as as I do now, right? My knowledge has evolved immensely just by proxy, right? No, for sure. His road to victory is a very easy game plan. It's not even that hard. Well, it's on paper, it's not that hard, right? It's
from where we're sitting, it's not that hard,
right? Because like if you see the black ring, that's the warning that you're gonna hit the fence.
Yeah.
Circle.
Here's the crazy thing. That's correct. There's another thing that he has to nullify, and I mean, you can't give Khabib a second to do this. So let's say the scramble leads to you being on your butt, back against the cage. And your leg,
you have to be up.
You need to be pushing. All right. So there are one of two ways to do this. And Dominic Cruz did a pretty great breakdown. you need to be already fighting Khabib's hands at this point, because not only is he going for your hands, that's when he's using his legs to wrap, to do that Dagestani handcuff shit. So you need to be kicking him or kicking him in the stomach, giving him everything to worry about while fighting his hands and moving your way up
and hold his head down, right? Like to me, what my thought was is hand fighting is the correct answer. My thought is if he gets you like that, you have to hold his head down, right? Because he's gonna have to get his legs out and move himself, right, to get out of that.
You gotta hold his head down, and you cannot give him room to get. What Khabib does really well with his wrestling is while he's doing one thing, he's setting up other things. He's setting up some really decent traps, and he's going for your legs.
And he's a mile ahead of you.
Yeah, you need to be in a place where you're already thinking, my legs are up. I'm already moving. I'm controlling his wrist. He's not controlling mine. If he tries to switch the wrist grip, you need to hit him with an elbow, over, under, something to make him stop thinking this, because it's clear in my head that it's all working in numbers for Khabib. Again, from my vantage point in the bunker where I'm safe from real athletes.
Right. No, let's be fair. Right. We're pseudo analysts at best, right? We can
on our best days.
Right. Eventually, we'll be paid to do this event. I'm positive of it. But, dude, I don't want to make a prediction, right? Because that's Gaethje's path to winning, but Khabib's path to winning is just as clear, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Do the same thing that you do. Throw that overhand right to make them afraid of a little bit of striking, and then push him against the cage, dig him into the cage, and pull and control his legs, right? And that is what Khabib is a literal master at doing, right? If your path to victory is the thing that you're the best at always, no matter what opponent you're against, it's very easy for you to always win, right? And never be put in a spot where you're going, okay, well, maybe I have to go to plan B or C, or he's never had to go through adversity in the octagon as far as I know, right? Nope. He's dazed a little bit by Michael Johnson.
Greatest to ever do it.
Absolutely. Almost out scrambled by Abel Trujillo, and then kicked in the leg once by Edson Barboza, right? Like, let's be fair of what happened. Conor didn't pose any of those issues to him. Conor's good striking. Conor's quick. Okay, that's a thing. Khabib won that fight.
The timing wasn't there.
He also hasn't fought in 2 years, but that's beside this point thing. But no, you're right.
The crazy thing about this whole situation with Khabib is, so he is the best at it. It's funny. I was watching the countdown and all the embeddeds with Santana leading up to this. And there's a reason why I stopped watching that stuff. She doesn't buy it, but I get really wrapped up into it. So as I'm watching it, I'm seeing that Khabib is clearly still mourning for his father, as any dutiful son should be. And you want to allow him to do that. But there's also that type of focus there where it's like he's talking to his head coach. Everyone's reeling from that, right? They're reeling from the loss of his dad. He's a presence, a powerhouse in the camp. But they know what they have to do. And they literally said, father's plan. You follow the plan your father has laid out to you for you that has led you to victory. There's another thing that I don't think Khabib gets enough credit for, but we're going to give him the credit for it tonight, which is he trains in camps where he's going to get a lot of different looks. So people are always saying things like, how did Edson Barboza not land anything? Because he trains at AKA. American Kickboxing Academy, you moke. You know, there are guys in there that have been training kickboxing and Muay Thai. I'm talking about the trainers. I'm not even talking about the fighters. Their entire life. Even if Khabib physically can never do the things that Edson Barboza does.
He's seen it.
Exactly.
There is no one on the planet, unless you fly to Dagestan, and they will refuse to work with you, right? Because you're fighting Khabib. There is no one on the planet who fights the way Khabib does. That would be easily, like, you could not get someone to be your fucking training partner if you're fighting Khabib that fights the way Khabib fights. There are people that do it, right? I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get one of them to come in and you like Conor did. It was like, oh, I got Dylan Dennis here. No. Dylan Dennis is jiu-jitsu. He's in jits, dude. Like, you would have to get you would literally have to, like, who's the really good wrestler who's just like, he's like, I'm a wrestler and that's it. It's all I'm ever doing. The guy who fucking Ben Askren like did like an exhibition with and got smoked.
I know, catch wrestler. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Olympic medalist.
Yeah. Do you know what you said that? And that made me think of the Great Hope Gillespie. Man, that fucking guy, man, just robbed me of my dignity in front of everyone after I hyped him
Jordan
up like
Burroughs.
That. Yes,
you would have to get Damian Maia for his control and Jordan Burroughs in the same fucking body to have a training partner. That's the only way. The only way I'm positive that happens, right? You have to get someone who is so good at everything, control on the ground, and someone who's so good at just pure chain wrestling. Like there is no one on the planet who does that.
So the crazy thing about it is when you think about the camp that Khabib has come out of, aka think about their 3 most dominant champions they've produced out of it. Kane, DC, Khabib. What do all 3 of these guys share in common? They know their path to victory. And what's their path to victory?
Wrestling.
Kane, wrestling, would wrestle you and then literally beat the shit out of you in every part of the transition. Like what he did to Bigfoot will go down in history as like one of the worst ass whoopings that's ever occurred on national TV. Same thing with DC. DC, not so much with the beating the shit out of people. Overwhelming people, 100%. Yes, Khabib, same thing. But I think just like the other 2, he will be stopped by the superior fighter who doesn't do the dance with him. Now, if Justin Gaethje is that guy, it's going to be pretty amazing. I think an intelligent fighter is going to be the guy that's going to do something that's going to shock Khabib the same way Ronda's face looked when she threw that sloppy haymaker at Holly Holm.
I don't think that'll happen because I don't know if Khabib is as full of himself as what Ronda was.
Oh, what, that night? She was definitely
no.
You're right.
Just in general. Right. Yeah. Ronda was, and you saw it on the Rogan interview before that fight, was I'm the best fighter. There is no one as good as me. Yeah. I am, there is no one going to become close to me. There's no one who can strike as well as I can because of my judo background. And there's no one who has the takedowns and ground that I have.
And
right.
And then fake boxing, and the fake boxing.
And the fake, and no head movement. And then Holly Holmes comes out there and goes, "Whoa, you don't move your head? Here, punch, kick. Punch, kick." And then Ronda's like, "Wait a second. She's not allowed to do this." But
that's exactly what I'm talking about. So imagine a moment Khabib comes forward and someone
full of himself. I don't think it'll allow that to happen. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not about him allowing it to happen. That's the game plan of the other fighter. If Khabib's only movement is forward and he doesn't know how to step to the side with you, he's going to be pretty surprised when Zach steps to the side and he's like, "Hey, guess what? My jab's been waiting for you, and it's going to be here all night." I get why you don't want to make a prediction, but this is a very romantic thing to talk about. You know who's starting to get on my nerves a little bit with this? But he's getting the views. He's doing the hustle. I got to respect his game. It's Chael. Chael is literally, his viewership has jumped up because people are going, they're looking for a place where they can go get some hope on an accurate breakdown. And he's false feeding to people, not falsely, but he's giving an honest representation of the fight, man. I don't know if Justin Gaethje's the guy to do it, bro. I want him to be the guy. Because I really don't care. I don't care about Ferguson versus Khabib the way other people have.
I don't anymore either.
Even though I feel bad for Ferguson,
I do too.
I don't know why I feel bad for him. The man has done a lot of things to put himself in dangerous situations, but I did think that he was going to be the first guy to make Khabib bleed in the UFC. Because I have to assume with a Sambo career as extensive as Khabib, he's bled before. But I just want to go back to this Dylan Danish thing with Conor McGregor. I remember when that was a big talking point and people were like, "Yeah, but Dylan Danish is the great." I'm like, "Yeah, but that's
he's jits, right? Like it's jujitsu.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Wrestling. Like you make a very similar face when a black belt in jits and a Sambo master grab you. You're like, no.
Yeah, but the Sambo guy's probably a little more scary, right? Like.
Hey, you know what? Sambo is very much like Muay Thai and Kung Fu. Like you can go to a Sambo gym, right? You can get some rolls in, and they'll show you some stuff, but they're never going to show you the stuff that they show the kids that they've raised. They're just not like when the UFC gym was open in Middletown, the actual UFC gym, they had a Sambo instructor in there, and I walked in one day just to watch him, and the guy was absolutely amazing. But I knew that, like, I'm like, he's not.
There's more. There's more. Yeah. There's more. Yeah,
I want all of it for $60 a month. I want all of it. I'm gonna throw it out there. Gaethje, with my heart, Gaethje's gonna coast to a very not coast. He's gonna fight a war to the 5th round, finish Khabib in the later rounds.
Okay. You heard it here first. He has made 2 predictions for both fighters this evening, and I can absolutely Absolutely be fine with that. There's one last topic, Stevie. Let's end it on like a fun, casual note on the way out of here.
Can you do the timestamp for this one, because I'm already chuckling, because I just think that this is something that you should have been a part of in some way, shape, or form. And when to not see you in the comment section berating this person, not because you disagree with their politics, but just because it just seems like troll level black belt stuff that you would do. AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she was playing some video games, man. She was playing some Fall Guys, and actually, you know what?
No, it was Among Us.
Among Us, sorry. She was playing some Among Us, and she sounded like a normal person. Like a normal person with up to 500,000 people watching her on Twitch. Which you could say a lot of things about our political system, like how we've turned them into celebrities, and you can go down that path, man. But every once in a while, I forget that she's just a 31-year-old person who's probably just trying to have a good time, and not everything's politically motivated.
So we know she plays video games, right? We know she plays video games. She's come out and said that, you know, she plays League of Legends, which is a very very poor choice, but
you play League of Legends.
No, I don't. I'm off of it now.
That's what every addict says, and my life has changed in the last 2 days.
It has. It really has. I've definitely only been just skimming League and not playing it very heavily. She plays League. And I guess she wanted to play Among Us because it looks fun, right? It does look fun. And then, you know, Pokimane came out and said that she'd love to play and set up a game, and she played. And there was another politician in there too.
What was it?
I don't remember her name.
Was it Nancy Pelosi? That would be
amazing. Oh
my god. That's interesting that Pokimane hit her up. She actually just got a female streamer, most popular female streamer, some credentials, some accolades.
Ilhan Omar. I don't know how to say this lady's name. I feel bad.
Oh yes.
She was in there as well. So she was in there as well. But AOC is obviously a very very popular politician to either love or hate on both sides at the moment. So yeah, they were in there playing with a bunch of people, man. I think Dr. Lupo was in there. I think Gus Johnson was in there. He's always really really fucking funny. So there was a bunch of people in there, and it looks like they had a good time, right? And that's the important part. It was really promotional to get people out to vote. 430,000 people in a demographic that generally votes fairly little is very very good. So yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see her stream again. That would be interesting. I don't know.
It's funny, man, because that guy I listened to, Young Ripper, he actually had an interesting take on this, and I respected that. He was like, you know, hate her or love her, she's a force to be reckoned with, right? A lot of people dismissed her as like unintelligent, and I think you're a fool to do that. I think she's very measured in her approach, and maybe she can't articulate the points the way that you would like her to, but she's extremely intelligent. The second thing is, you're absolutely correct. Showing up and doing that, she's definitely trying to galvanize a group of people who have, I won't say they don't vote out of apathy, but maybe they just they've learned that their vote is contractual, right?
Sure.
Your generation understands that I shouldn't have to give my vote up and be expected to give it up just because you say I should. I think it was masterful on her part, man, and I think she's going to continue to do more stuff like this. What was really weird was the way some conservatives, and this is where I start getting a little pissed off, man, and I turn on people, the way they reacted to this. One dude who I'm not even going to mention his name, but he's a friggin' jerk off on Twitter. Conservative pundit said, yeah, but she's playing with a bunch of guys who don't get laid, or he was alluding to something like that. Imagine being a 31-year-old man playing video games. Now
were they talking about Dr. Lupo? Because he's the right, like, you know, that's the only guy that was that age, in that he's the wrong guy to go after. He's the guy that raised $2.2 million for St. Jude's on Twitch last year, right? He's the guy who is the most wholesome guy on Twitch, in my opinion, with his kid and his wife, and you know, all the work that he does for games and such. You can't go, like, I don't care who the guy that said it was, but you can't go after Lupo as that guy to articulate that against. He's the wrong guy to do this. That is a bad look. That is a very very bad look if someone had said that and was referencing Lupo.
No, I don't think they were referencing Lupo, and here's what makes it even worse, because they weren't. They were referencing an entire group of males that play video games. And this is something that's like, I want to be consistent about this, man. When we covered the deer hunter thing on Twitch, that upset me because that person lumped in a group of people, which you just don't get to do, right? You don't get to lump a group of people together and say white supremacists, right? You know,
Sure.
it's a D move to do. Also, on the other side of that, you don't just get to make everyone look like an incel either, right?
Sure.
Like there are people who actually just play video games because it is a form of entertainment, just like sports. And this is where they go to do that.
But more so to movies and to television, right? Like,
yeah.
Like gaming isn't this niche thing that some people do anymore. Everybody plays video games, right? Like the vast majority of people play video games, whether it's casually or fucking super hardcore, right? Like,
right.
You know, most of your mothers are out there playing Candy Crush on their phone. They're playing video games, right? Like, that is just a fact at the moment. It is not like a good idea to marginalize a group of people like that either, right? It is a very, very large group of people. It is potentially the highest profiting entertainment industry in the United States at the moment, right? Like, yeah, you know, that's just a bad take. I don't even like talking about people's bad takes because they're just idiots.
I can't even see the guy's tweet. I have it up on the screen, like the person that reported on it. And you're right, it's not important what his name is. I'm not going to break my cardinal rule of giving this person any press, man. It gets me that rattled because it shows you how disconnected that some conservatives are. Not some. I mean, not all, but some are from what's actually going on in the country. And then they silence the voices of people who would be involved in these type of subcultures who understand that, like, this is not just a voting market. Like, this is somewhere people meet and you want to respect it as such, right?
Sure.
So that's why AOC, you have to, no bullshit. If you don't know this about subcultures, you can come to the party, but never be a part of the party. Do you understand what I mean by that?
I know exactly. Right, you could be in the friend group and not be in the friend group, right? Like,
exactly.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. I know for sure exactly what you mean.
Like, you can go to a punk show, you can get 100 punk shows in your entire life and never really been attached to punk culture. There's a whole argument you can have about that. You could have gone to raves and never been a raver, right? Never been a part of the culture. And I think the reason that someone like AOC got invited into this is because somewhere in her, people see something relatable to the sense that at least she's excited about something. And also, she was able to let her hair down for a second and just play video games. Very important situation, right?
Sure.
You show up and just have a good time, and then there's always going to be room for the conversation. Good for her. I am an opponent of hers, but I respect her hustle. I do. Dude, she was a friggin' bartender that people had written off in life after college.
3 years ago, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And she won her last election easily. So that means the people in her district obviously are enjoying what she's doing, right? She had the
gets
balls,
reelected, right? Like,
like she had the balls to stand up to Amazon, how you feel about this decision or not. First, freshman politician, and she had
up against the biggest corporation in the world.
Yeah, and she's like, no, I think you guys are trying to screw Queens over. Wrong decision in my mind, but hey, you know what?
No, I think they're right because the New York City was going to subsidize like most of that building and a lot of their taxes for the next X amount of years. Where at a time where New York City needs the money, right? So I half agree with her there. They could have found a different resolution, I think, and maybe had done a smaller warehouse or maybe less subsidies. But that was the issue, I think, is that they didn't want to subsidize every fucking thing that Amazon was going to do. Like, it's the same thing when baseball teams were like, oh, we need a new stadium. And then the Bronx is like, all right, Yankees will build it for you. Like, why? They're the most wealthy team on the fucking planet, dude. Like, they're
building themselves, dude.
Exactly. And that's how, I understand where both sides are coming from. It would have created, I don't even know, tens of thousands of jobs potentially. And a lot of very high paying jobs on top of the factory jobs. But overall, probably a good decision.
The only thing I really agree with that level of subsidizer for is any eco-friendly company has an actual resolve, not psychopaths. I mean, an actual resolve to help for the next 8 years in regards to climate change.
These contracts are signed for 20, my friend. These are you're looking at these are 20-year contracts. These aren't 8-year contracts, right? 8-year contracts and subsidies and business is nothing.
No, not the contract. I'm talking about the 8-year prediction by scientists saying that if we don't reverse global warming within 8 years, it's going to be.
I've been hearing that my entire life.
Yeah, I think those companies should get all the stuff. Every tax
sure,
cut,
the subsidies
pay
there,
for it
but
all.
like, yeah, but also you guys need to pay your fucking taxes, right? You need to pay your property tax, you need to pay your income tax, and that's why like everyone gets around subsidies. Honestly, the only thing that should be subsidized in that fashion, in my opinion, is healthcare. And like healthcare facilities, like your hospital, you shouldn't need a donor from some fucking rich donor shouldn't have to donate $100 million to put a new wing in a hospital.
You should need a benefactor to go in to get
correct. Benefactor is a great word. You should listen, we need a new cardiovascular wing. It's performing at 2010, which was fantastic then, but we need to be in 2025 by next year. And it should be like, okay, done, right? It's like, here's the money, here's the best people on the planet to do it. There you go, right? And that's the way that should work, in my opinion. That's the only thing that should be subsidized on that level.
Do you in medical, do you include substance abuse in that spectrum and that continuum there?
You have to in some facet, I can imagine, right? Because and we have to look at general mental health in that facet as well now, right?
Yeah.
That is becoming very, very apparent with the depression and just mental illness in general. That needs to be looked at in a different light than what it has been in the last year. And the stigmas need to be removed, essentially, right? And that's a re-education of a consumer base, which is very, very expensive. But yeah, that the substance abuse and that needs the. Yeah, I agree.
It's one thing we haven't done here in a while, man, and I always appreciate it. You spearheaded this. If you're dealing with stuff like that, if you're feeling isolated, alone, we're not trained doctors, but we are people who will listen to you. And if you ever want to just talk, hit us up in the Discord, man. Play some video games. Please contact your clinician. Let them know if you're going to do any harm to yourself or anyone else.
Sure.
But that's one of the things that comes with community. I know the stigma that came with video games. I've been alive long enough to know what they've said. I'm 39 now, and I've heard it all. How it's going to make us isolationist. It's going to make us apathetic, dissociative disorders. And here's the thing that you're never going to get. But I would appreciate if someone had the balls to say it. Most of that research was based off of isolated incidents in the extreme. We see more people exhibiting those symptoms from normal life in 2020
the
than they did
corporate environments.
Yeah.
Right. And I think like I'm as good of a communicator as I am because of video games, right? Yeah. I think as quickly as I do in certain scenarios because of video games, right? Like I've developed skill. I played sports as a kid, right? But I developed a lot of those like high level communication skills that I have because I played a lot of video games with a lot of different people, right? And you have to learn how to work a room, essentially, and that's what you have to do in business. So you have to do in day-to-day life. Like I'm a better communicator because of video games, essentially.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that they would always have this conversation where you can't build authentic relationships when you're online with a game, but like it's no different than the everyday model of life. Like, okay, so you're telling me that you have an authentic relationship with every person that you communicate with at work? That's a lie. That's an absolute lie.
It's such a lie, right? But what's the difference between like I don't understand, like it is way more personal for me and you to go through a co-op video game than it is for me and you to go out and see a movie.
Yeah, we're actually communicating, even though if you ever want to go out and see a movie, that's my thing. I like to go see movies.
I like to go see movies too. I really do. But that's a good example, right? Like, listen, we may be sitting next to each other, but we're not engaging, right? Like, but when we're walking through, like, Portal's a very good example, right? When we have to communicate to get the task done, that is way more personal than going to see a movie.
Yeah. And I mean, so every friendship, relationship, whatever you want to call it, it's built off on a level of communication, and that grows outside of that realm. So you play video games with a person. You and Shane are a perfect example of this, right? You guys went to school with each other, played games with each other, and your relationship has evolved outside of just games. It's still a huge part of your friendship, but you actually have a meaningful relationship there. Sure. The accusation people would make before is that you can't develop those type of relationships with people. I'm like, how do you know that? This is a new technology. What? So how do you? What do you? I'm talking about when they had AOL chat. I'm like, how do you know these things? Of course, there are outliers, weirdos hanging out, but that's no different than people going to a bar, right? It's the same exact thing. I can go on a whole thing about this. This is why I got my license taken away in California, and I'm no longer allowed to treat puppies. It's been It's been a great night, Zach. We've been all over the place, man. Anyone you want to give a shout out to or say screw you to before we head out?
Absolutely not.
No shout outs, no screw.
No one gets shout outs. No one gets screamed at this episode.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been another great episode of Talking with a Dad, the live stream edition, the only edition now. We want to give another shout out to the audio listeners. Thank you for that push to get us over 400 listens. Make sure you continue to click, like, and subscribe there. You can find us on Spotify, Overcast, Google Podcasts, Google Play. It's still up for some reason. Apple.
Do you have this written down? Oh my God.
It's all Talking with a Dad. We have a website that's talkingwithadad.com, all one word. But if you Google it, that'll come up as well. And check us out on IG and Facebook, where we have the Facebook page, Talking with a Dad, and the IG page, Talking with a Dad. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.